What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another amazing Naruto story. What if Naruto was blood linked to Alucard and the Hellsing legacy? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments, and also check the description box to original creator of this beautiful creation. In the Hellsing mansion stood a platinum blonde woman wearing round glasses. She had sun-kissed tan skin. Her crystal blue eyes burned with an unseen fire. This woman that sat behind a large oak wood desk was Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingate's Hellsing, the head of the Hellsing organization and head of the Hellsing family as its last surviving heir. Out of the corner of her eye she saw something coming out of the shadows. A man with a long red trench coat, red fedora appeared. She looked at the black suit he wore under with a white long-sleeve button-up shirt and black riding boots. He was missing his sunglasses though. But she pushed that aside and looked at the man coming over to her desk. "My master, is there something you need, Sir Integra?" asked the man before her. Bridging her hands under her chin, Integra looked up at the man. "Alucard, I am the last of my family. After I pass there will be no more Hellsing family nor organization." She told him, "This I know, my master. But why discuss this with me?" asked the now named Alucard. He arched an eyebrow at her as a grin slowly crept across his lips, his fangs showing as he looked at the woman before him. "Does my master wish to become my no-life queen?" he questioned her. She looked up at him and barked out in laughter so strong Alucard just grinned. "I wish not to become a vampire. But I wish that you help me sire several children to ensure the future of my family as well, to entrust there will always be someone to watch over you. Even if it is your own child," she told the Draco before her. His blood-red eyes flashed with amusement. "Very well, my master, you will become my life queen till your end of days. I will not turn you unless you wish it so," he told her. "I know, Alucard, I am not the first human that you had a child with. I do have a question for you," said Integra. He walked up next to the desk, never allowing his eyes to leave her gaze. "What may that question be?" he asked her. With a deep breath she spoke. "Will the children turn into vampire or will they need to feed?" Her eyes, strong with will, did give away some concern for the lives she will be bringing into this world. Alucard let out a deep and rich laugh at this question. "They will gain my abilities but on a weaker level. They will from time to time will need blood transfusion. But they will not need to drink blood. If we were back in the Dark Ages then maybe. However, in this day and age a transfusion would work well. The only way they will become vampires is if I turn them, or they make the same deal with the devil I did and renounce their humanity, and then they will become the monster you see before you," he told her, his grin growing ever so big. She sat there like a stone. Her eyes appeared to become a storm as she thought over what had been told to her. "Could I forsake a child? Just for my own selfish need to carry on my family line?" she thought to herself when something happened to drag her out of her own thoughts. Alucard had taken her into his arms and placed his hand under her chin, raising her face up to him as a grin crept across his lips, and he leaned down and kissed her. Integra's eyes grew large as she began to beat her fist on his chest. After a moment she had relaxed into his kiss. It was wild and warm, alluring with passion and forbidden lust. She slowly opened her lips to allow a moan to escape as Alucard parted his lips and allowed his tongue to go into her mouth and wage war with hers. No matter what, she battled him for dominancy as they passionately kissed. Slowly Integra broke the kiss. She needed to breathe. With a gasp of air she looked up at her forbidden lover. "My life queen, shall we continue this in a more private place?" asked Alucard as his grin seemed to grow even larger. He held the petite but strong woman in his arms. A small grin crept across her lips, and with that the shadows had swallowed them. They both reappeared from the shadows in Integra's bedchambers. Her curtains drowned, the room was in total darkness from the mid-morning sun. "After today I will assure you that you will be carrying my child. Don't be frightened when you have a craving for blood. If need be I'll feed you my own, or you may eat a bloody streak," said Alucard. She eyed him as he spoke. She did feel a little uneasy about the blood part. But she wanted to have strong children, and Alucard had proven to be the alpha male among the sheep she had to deal with. "I know I should write a lemon for them. But I am unsure I could write one that would do them any justice." Before anything else could be spoken, Alucard ripped off all of Integra's clothing, only leaving her in a red lacy bra and matching panties. This only made him grin even more. Never had he thought her to wear anything like this. Slowly he laid her back onto the bed as his clothing faded away, only leaving his black pants. Well, my life queen, you do surprise me, said Alucard with a chuckle. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Her crystal blue eyes gazed up at his blood-red eyes. I do enjoy surprising you, my no-life king, she told him as she pulled herself up to kiss him. Present-day Konoha. In the bowels of the Konoha lays an ancient secret that time has forgot. A secret so dark, so bloody that it would make the bravest of shinobi run for the hills. Even the Hokages of past and present fear what lays dormant below their feet. Naruto Uzumaki had been hiding and exploring the tunnels below the Konoha after learning of their existence from the Forbidden Scroll she had been sneaking peeks at. At the tender age of 13, Naruto had developed a skill rarely seen in young and upcoming shinobi. She had taken a book on Fuinjutsu from the Hokage's personal collection he had in his office. That happened when she was only 6 years old and had spent every waking hour studying the book and copying every page into a journal the Hokage had gotten her for her 5th birthday. Seriously, what does a 5-year-old need a journal for? Come on, old man. A doll or a stuffed bear would have been a more suitable gift for a girl, thought Naruto. But, in the end, she was grateful for it. The thing was huge with over 3,000 plus pages. She was able to combine 5 of the ceiling books she copied into it. But, as time passed, Naruto had copied all the books into several journals, and at the age of 10 she began working on her skills of breaking into the old man's office while he was gone. At this current moment, Naruto was running from a few angry people and a few drunks she had ran into after she had finished copying the last part of the Forbidden Scroll in her black leather-bound journal. Good one, moron. Why wasn't I watching when I snuck out of the Hokage tower? She thought. As she rounded the corner of the marketplace, she darted towards the Hokage mountain. If I remember right, there should be a secret passage to one of the many tunnels I mapped out of all the scrolls in Gigi's office. She thought to herself as she came to a section under the stairway. She felt along the wall till she felt a small piece of stone sink in. As it sunk in, a small doorway opened up by several bushes. Yes, I found it, she thought to herself as she slipped in, and just in time, as well as the mob of angry and drunken villagers appeared. Where is the demon brat? Yelled an angry villager as they looked around to see nothing before them. Even the low-level shinobi with them couldn't find Naruto. She had given them the slip once more. This only cemented the idea that the girl was the Kyuubi reborn. The hidden door had slid shut just before anyone could notice it, and Naruto looked around her in the dark tunnel she stood. She slowly pressed her back against the wall with a heavy sigh. Damn, I hope they will stop once I became a ninja. The Shinobi Council have told me they would be able to protect me a little more, she told herself as she reached into her pouch and pulled out a glow stick. Quickly she snapped it between her fingers and began to look at the tunnel walls. To her surprise, it looked like someone had clawed the walls. What the heck? Said Naruto as she felt along the walls. The claw marks looked to have been made by a human? But she wasn't too sure, for they still looked animalistic in some places. The deeper she walked into the tunnel, the wider and higher the ceiling got. To her surprise, she had stumbled into a crypt of some kind. In the center of the crypt-like room was a large black coffin, and it appeared to have chains and seals around it. Curiosity had gotten the better of the girl as she slowly descended the steps leading to the coffin. The closer she got to the strange-looking coffin, the torches on the pillars around it burst into flames. The crypt now had an eerie glow to it. She could feel her skin begin to tingle. It was that feeling something bad was going to happen. But you just didn't care. That was what she was feeling. Naruto slowly stepped in front of the large black coffin and put her backpack down. Inside of it, held all of her journals of all the secrets she could find out about her home. Even a couple scrolls she had found addressed to her. She still needed to open them. Maybe after this she could relax at home and read them. Shaking her head of these thoughts, Naruto opened her bag and pulled out a crimson journal that had what she was seeking. The information about this crypt and tunnel, and maybe this coffin before her. Sitting down at the base of the coffin, Naruto opened her journal and looked at the index she had put in it. Let's see, she said as she trailed her finger down the page and flipped to the next page. Uzumaki Devil, page 666. I never really paid attention to that name, she said as she flipped to that page. Uzumaki Devil. My wife Mito, as the eldest daughter and seal master, was given the task of guarding the family secret. This secret I fear no one but of her bloodline can handle, the devil that lies in this coffin. He is only allowed his freedom in times of great need. My wife regretted the day she took this coffin from her village. For the following day the village failed to their enemies. But, lucky her little sister made it out. She will be the holder of this devil. Mito doesn't want anything to do with it. Kushina Uzumaki will now be its keeper. Once she passes, her children will pick up the mantle of its keeper. But, if the girl dies, I fear my children and theirs will suffer that fate as its keeper. During the times before the Great Demon Wars, humans lived in the light of day, never truly knowing what went bump in the night. Demons, monsters, vampires lived in the shadows and in the dark pits of hell. The Hellsing family and organization for generations fought these beasts and kept them at bay, making sure the human race would live another day in their world of illusions, never truly knowing of the things that went bump in the night or stalked them from the shadows. But, as time went on, the Hellsing family became the keeper of a devil of immense power. They have become the keeper of the no-life king Alucard, king of all vampires. As time went on, Alucard was not needed by the family and he slept in his cell till the day his services were called upon once more. That day came when Integra Fairbrook Wingate Hellsing was being hunted down by her uncle. He was furious that her father had named her the new head of the Hellsing organization and family. He had believed once his brother had stepped down that he would take up the mantle of being the head of the family and organization. But, sadly, he was gravely mistaken. His brother had saw the list of power that he wanted and feared if his younger brother would take control, the world would be doomed. He would bring nothing but dishonor to the family name. That night, while Integra's handler Walter was away, he would kill the girl and make it look like suicide or a robbery gone wrong. The girl had gotten away from him and had crawled into the air ducts to get away. Along this time she had made her way into the lower regions of the mansion. She stood before a cell. Inside she could see a figure of a man hunched over. Thinking quick, she had grabbed the key that hung near the cell door and opened it. She would free the man and see if he would help her. But before she could get close to the man, a shot had rang out and she had been shot in the right shoulder. The force from the bullet had spun her around. Now she faced her attacker and his loyal lackey. "Now, dear girl, be a good girl and die," said the crazed man. She had fallen back onto her, but as she looked up at her uncle. "But, uncle, why? Why do you do this?" she asked in a shaky voice. Fear and shock could be seen in her eyes. Why do I do this to you? Why have I shot you?" "It is very simple, my foolish girl. I have done this all for power. What can a snot-nosed brat like you would know anything about power and what it truly means to be a Hellsing?" He roared at that final part. "Father and grandmother saw you unfit for this title. When they return, they will be furious with your actions and they will appoint someone within the organization's ranks," said Integer as she moved a little closet to the person behind her. "Why haven't they spoken or done anything to help me?" she thought in her panicked mind. "Well, my dear, that would be quite impossible to do on their part. For they had an accident on their way to the round table meeting this morning. That is why your handler isn't here to protect you," he said with a smirk on his face. Before anything else could be said, they heard a creepy breathing and what sounded like licking sounds coming from behind the teenage girl. Slowly and carefully she turned her head to see a long, wicked-looking tongue licking her blood up from the flood behind her. She was then met with wicked crimson eyes. "My dear girl, your blood tastes divine," said the mummified man. His crimson eyes met with the other three men and a wicked smirk crept across his lips. "My master, are they causing trouble for you?" he asked as he slowly stood and his long raven hair shadowed his face. His white puffy selves bottom-down shirt softly glowed in the faint light from the hallway. "Why do you call that girl master? She is nothing but a nuisance. I am the head of the Hellsing family," spoke the fat man. The strange man laughed and his crimson eyes flashed at the tub of lard. "For Lady Hellsing gave me the girl's blood and told me to protect her. She knew something was going to happen and planned for it," he said as his grin grew even more. The two lackeys began firing their guns at him. He just laughed and vanished with insane speed and ripped the men's that's out and drinking their blood. The other pissed himself and began firing his 9mm at the no-life king. Before he could do anything else, his life was taken and there laid his lifeless body. Alucard turned and faced Integra and knelt down into one knee. "My master, what are your orders?" he asked, meeting her crystal blue eyes with his crimson red eyes. This was the meeting of the two future lovers. From them our Uzumaki clan was born. We are the last of their bloodline, and when times grow dire we call on our great ancestor to come aid us in our times of need. Alucard will only answer to those of his lineage and forsake all others. For only one of pure heart and strong will could ever calm the no-life king. Naruto jaw hung open, as she looked at the names of the people in the past that had stood watch and acted as keeper to the one that lays before her in this coffin. There she saw the name of one Kushina Uzumaki, and below her name she saw Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. She looked at that last name for what felt like hours but was only a few minutes. Her name was in this book. But why did she have the fourth Hokage's last name with hers? That would have to wait, she thought to herself, and turned back to what she was doing. Hokage Tower. The third Hokage had returned from his late dinner to see if he could get some of this infernal paperwork done. He sighed as he walked through his office door. He took his hat off and hung it on the hook next to his bookcase when he noticed something. It was shifted a little, indicating someone had moved it and was in the secret vault behind it. This isn't good, he thought to himself as he slid open the secret door to the Hokage vault. He looked around and saw nothing was missing. But what he did find made him very worried. There on the ground was a silver chain with the Hellsing and Uzumaki crest on it. It belonged to one person and he had given it to her earlier that day, telling her it once belonged to her mother and that one day she would be the clan head. He quickly picked it up and closed the vault behind him and rushed to his desk. He needed to know where the girl was at this very moment. If she had been there, then she knew a lot more than she had ever let on. Sitting down, he opened a large drawer on the right side of his desk, and inside of it laid a clear ball made of crystal resting on a silk pillow. He pulled it out and focused his chakra into it. He then focused on Naruto's chakra signature, hoping to find her in some training ground or at home studying. I know one could only hope. But what he saw made him pale. She was in the crypt of the devil Mito had brought with her from her home village. Quickly getting up, he looked around him and snapped his fingers. Before him appeared Inu and Neko. We have a problem and it centers around Naruto, he told the two Anbu before him. Follow me and pray she doesn't awaken it. He then vanished to the stairs leading to the Hokage mountain. Behind the two Anbu appeared. They looked at their leader in wonder for why they came to his place. No one was there, but they did see several broken bottles of beer and sake. Please be safe, Naru-chan, thought Neko as she saw these things. Inu looked around and caught some blood in the air. Damn it, I hope she isn't hurt. Why did I help Raven with that stupid task? He thought to himself in anger. Inside the crypt, Naruto looked at the seals on the coffin. They appeared to be blood seals. Strange thing to put on a vampire coffin, she thought, and just shrugged her shoulders and went to the chains. They had the symbol that was on the necklace that Gigi gave her this morning. Reaching for her neck for the necklace, her eyes had gone wide. Oh no, no. I lost it. How could I be such a moron? She cried to herself as she looked around the crypt for it. Maybe it just fell off in here. Sarutobi opened the secret passageway and the two others followed behind him. They saw the faint glow at the end of the long tunnel. When they reached the end, they saw Naruto looking around with some blood on her cheek and right leg. Naruto, what are you doing? Asked the aged leader. This brought the girl out of her panic and she looked at her Gigi standing there with Inu and Neko. She gave them a foxy grin as she rubbed her right hand behind her head. Well, you see, Gigi, I was being chased by villagers and some rookie shinobi. I had to get away. They said they would kill me if they caught me. So, I found the secret passage for this place and hid in here to get away from them. I could still hear them, so I took one of my glow sticks and snapped it so I could see and went for a walk and found this strange crypt. She told them. He raised his eyebrow at her and looked at the crimson leather-bound journal laying next to the coffin and another jade-colored one next to it with the same seal design as the one on the coffin. Then explain to me what are in those two journals, he asked. She paled a little and took a deep breath. Well, the Jade book has all the seals I have copied from your books and learned since I was 6 years old, and the Crimson book has the information on this place and my great million times over grandfather's information, she said with a nervous look on her face. Inu stepped forward and looked at the girl. What do you mean, grandfather? He asked, puzzled. She pointed at the coffin behind her. Here lies Alucard, the one who originally began the Uzumaki bloodline, she said as she turned to look at the coffin. There was wonder in her eyes on how this man would look. Would he be a mummy or just bones, or would he look just like someone sleeping? How can that be? He should just be nothing more than just bones, said Neko looking at the girl and coffin. Naruto saw her necklace hanging from Gigi's left hand. She ran over to him and pulled it out of his grasp. "Oh, thank you, Gigi. I was so scared I lost this. I don't want to lose the only thing linking me to my family," she said as she turned around and walked back over to the coffin. "Naruto-chan, why don't we leave here and get you cleaned up and get some ramen?" asked Sarutobi. She turned and smiled at him. "That would be great. But first I really want to see what's in the coffin," she told him. Before anyone could stop her, she put her necklace in the lock and had already ran blood over all the seals. The chains fell to the ground with a heavy and loud clanking sound, and the seals all fizzled as the blood on them all rushed into the coffin. Seconds later, the lid of the coffin slowly opened, and there before them, sitting up, was a man with long raven hair and crimson eyes. He looked at the three that stood before him and the young blonde before him. "Integra, is that you, my no-life queen?" he asked himself in his thoughts. When he got a better look of the blonde-haired girl, he saw the whisker markings on her cheeks and he caught her scent. She was of his bloodline, but the girl also smelled of fox? The two Anbu stood before their Hokage ready to protect him from this man? That just woken. Naruto looked at the no-life king with huge eyes. "You're my great-grandfather from a million times over?" she asked him. He grinned at the girl. "I guess you could say that, little one. Tell me, what year is it and where are we?" he asked. She scrunched up her face as she thought. "It is 2017 ADW. ADW equals after the Demon Wars. And we are in Konoha, the village hidden in the leaves," she told him. "So, I have been sleeping for 1987 years," said Alucard as he looked at the girl. He knew of the new name his family had taken on, and he saw their new crest resting in the girl's hands. "Tell me, where are the other Uzumakis?" he asked, watching her face change and sadden. "They are all dead. I am the last," she said as tears began to roll down her cheek that had dry blood on it. He looked over at the Hokage. "Is what she says true?" he asked with power and authority in his voice. The Hokage studied the man before answering him. "Yes, she is the last of the main clan. There may be some other Uzumaki out there, but of lesser birthright than her. But, as far as we know, the clan had been wiped out during the Second War Shinobi when Iwa and Kumo attacked them. We were too late to aid them. When we arrived, all that was left was a child. The baby sister of Mito-sama. We brought Kushina back here and she was cared for by her eldest sister till the day she passed away. Kushina had become your caretaker," he said as he watched the man as he slowly raised himself out of the coffin and looked over the girl. His crimson eyes took on a deeper, richer crimson color. "Who hurt you, child? Tell me," he said as he looked her in the eyes. She turned away from him and looked at the Hokage. "It was some stupid drunks. They hit me with a few beer bottles. But, I'm alright. My cuts have healed and my bruises are now fading," she said as she pointed at the ugly purple-green bruise on her cheek. Alucard looked at the other three. He didn't smell any of her blood on them and knew they didn't mean the girl in harm. "Why is she being attacked? Does it have anything to do with the scent I am smelling from her?" he asked. The Hokage paled, looking at the man. What do you mean?" Sarutobi stuttered out as he tried to keep himself calm. Alucard arched an eyebrow to this. "So, she doesn't know? Is that what I am gathering from you three?" he asked as Naruto looked at him puzzled. "What do you mean I smell like a fox?" she asked as she turned to look at her Gigi and the others. Naruto stared at the man that she saw as her grandfather. She wanted to know what her other grandfather was talking about. Why was he claiming she smelled like a fox? Why would I smell like that? She wondered as her eyes had grown wide as something had clicked in her mind. Alucard watched in amusement to the girl's reaction. "Gigi, does it have anything to do with what the villagers call me and on my birthday they hunt me down and call it the annual fox hunt?" she asked as she saw the aged old man's face grow older and shadowed. Alucard looked up at the others. "What is she talking about? Why is she being hunted like a beast?" he growled out. His eyes, now a ruby-colored, glowed in the darkness. The killer intent rolling off of him was making everyone in the crypt gasp for air. They had never felt anything so powerful in their lives. Naruto pulled on his long red trench coat as she tried to breathe. He looked down as he saw the girl slowly begin to turn purple and slowly fade into the abyss. He released his ki and everyone was gasping for air and they pushed themselves up onto their knees. "I'll explain everything to the both of you. But, first, could we return to my office?" asked Sarutobi as he looked at Alucard, who had scooped Naruto up in his arms. She had been slowly standing back up but was hit with a dizzy spell. So, it would be best to just carry the girl. That is fine, old man. I shall meet you at that tower of yours. With that said, Alucard and Naruto melted into the shadows of the crypt and vanished. The two Anbu looked at their leader and nodded their heads as they vanished in a swirl of leaves. When they had reappeared in the Hokage's office, Alucard and Naruto were sitting before the old man's desk. But one thing was different. Alucard now wore a red fedora and circular orange-tinted wireframe sunglasses. He smirked as he looked at the Hokage. "What took you so long?" he asked as he looked over at Naruto, who was just staring at him in awe. She had never traveled that fast, nor though the shadows. Sarutobi walked over to his desk and sat down. He put his crystal ball away and looked at the two before him. Neko and Inu stood behind them. They were curious about what the Hokage was about to tell them. Clearing his throat, he looked at everyone present. "Naru-chan, what I am about to tell you is a SSS rank secret. But, my dear girl, I have failed you in ways. For those fools out there know your secret, so I did the only thing I could at the time. Whoever spoke about it to the younger generation or in general was put to death." He looked down at his hands. "Then back up. The night you were born, the nine-tailed fox attacked," he told her. Naruto's eyes grew large as she listened to the tale. "Okay, Gigi, but what does it have to do with me though?" she asked. He sighed. "Well, after you were born, your mother was attacked and fatally wounded. For her attacker tried using you as a barging chip. But, when he threw you, your father caught you and took you away from the fight, leaving your mother and my wife to fight this person. When your father returned, my wife was dead and the Kyuubi no Kitsune was free from its prison. Your father took your weak and dying mother to your side so she could tell you her goodbyes and that she loved you." He sighed once more as tears welled at his eyes at the memory of his late wife and the death of his friends. "Your father then left the both of you and went to face the Kyuubi with his toad summons Gamabunta. They fought long and hard against the masked man and Kyuubi. While battling, he formulated a plan to stop the fox's rampage and save this village and all in it. He quickly returned home to your mom and you. He took you both back with him to the battlefield, and with your mother's remaining strength and her chakra chains she helped hold the Kyuubi while your father summoned the death god to seal it away. While they were finishing the seal, the Kyuubi tried killing you to break the seal. But, its claws was stopped by your parents. They had used themselves as shields. That is what Jiraiya and myself has had saw when we finally made there to help aid in the battle. Minato's last dying wish was that you would be seen as a hero. For you are the prison of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. If you look down at your belly and push chakra into it, you will see the two seals on it," said Sarutobi as he looked at the young girl and her vampiric grandfather. "So, you're telling me that her mother was once the beast prison as well, and that her burden was passed to her daughter. For her father could not ask anyone to give their own child if he couldn't give up his own?" asked Alucard as he looked over at the shocked girl, who had raised her shirt and had done as told. There in all its horrible glory were the seals that held the Kyuubi no Kitsune at bay. Why? Naruto screamed in her head as tears slowly rolled down her cheeks. She looked up at her Gigi. Why keep this from me?" she sobbed out as her tears streamed down her cheeks. "Now, you know one of those bastards out there could have told me this, and in my shock they could have hurt me worse than before or even killed me," she cried out. This now had Alucard looking at the old man with rage. "What have you done to keep her safe these past years?" he questioned. Inu stepped forth. "Neko and myself and several other Anbu have watched over her and did our best to keep her safe through the years. I have personally killed several Anbu for allowing her to get hurt during their watch," he said as he stepped back. Neko nodded her head. "As well have I have even taken the lives of several villagers that have hurt her," spoke the purple-haired woman. Alucard looked at them and at the young girl as she nodded her head. She had seen her protectors do this firsthand. "Now that I am here, I will take full charge of her safety, as she is the last heir to the Hellsing and Uzumaki family," he spoke. Naruto looked at him in shock. No one besides her Anbu and Gigi and ramen stand people had ever cared about her well-being. She wiped her tears away and looked at her Gigi. "Gigi?" she asked. This drew him to her. "Yes, princess?" he asked. The one who defeated the Kyuubi no Kitsune 13 years ago on this day was the fourth Hokage. She said. "Yes, princess, it was him who did that," said Sarutobi. She looked down shyly and pressed her fingers together. Then that would make him my father? She asked. When she had asked this, the whole room had gone silent. Nothing was heard. It was a deafening silence. Yes, princess. Minato Namikaze was your father. Along with Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze. Your mother was a fierce warrior on the battlefield. Her crimson locks would fly up into nine-tail-like locks as she grew enraged in battle. Even her eyes took on a crimson glow. But, I was told that happened before she had the fox sealed within her. He told her. Alucard smirked at this little piece of information. His blood was still going strong and his vampiric traits still showed in his children. Integra, you would be glad to hear of your strong and prideful daughter. She was a grand warrior. He thought to himself. Then I am the last Hellsing Uzumaki Namikaze. She said as she looked at everyone. Gigi? She asked once more. Yes, princess? He answered once more. But, before she could speak. Where is the clan home? Asked Alucard. He had stepped in knowing that was what she was wondering and maybe. Just maybe she could live there. He could tell that was what she was thinking. Well, the clan house belongs to your mother Kushina. The one that Minato had was destroyed a while back when he fought someone for the right to court your mother. But at that time they had been already married for a while and your father had moved everything of his to your mother's place. For it was in the middle of the woods near Training Ground 44. Answered the third. If you wish, I and the others here will show you to your new home. But be warned that I have one Jonin that has made Training Ground 44, or otherwise known as the Forest of Death, her personal training ground as well as maybe her new home. I am not sure on that last part. He said as he looked at Neiko. She just shook her head as she didn't know either. Very well then, show us the way. I need to inspect the place as well. Alucard trailed off as he looked at the third Hokage. I need to feed, he said. Sarutobi stared at him. It took several seconds for this to click in his mind. Ooh, well, Mr. Alucard. I could send Neiko to the hospital to get several packs of blood, and in the morning I could have Raven or Inu drop off some more. He said as he looked a little uneasy at that thought of drinking blood. Devilish grin crept across Alucard's lip. That will be fine. I will inform you any and all that attack my grandchild will die at my hands. So, if you have a missing villager or two, don't worry, for they had done something against Naruto and I will not stand idly by and allow an injustice to happen to her. He said as he slowly raised to his feet. As well, I will need all accounts that belong to the girl. For I will not allow her to run around in that orange monstrosity any longer. He said as he looked at the girl's orange jumpsuit. Naruto looked down at her clothes and back up at Alucard. What's wrong with what I'm wearing? She asked as she pouted at her grandfather. Alucard raised his eyebrow at her as he looked her over. My dear girl, you are a moving target and one that seems to be set up to draw all fire to them. I will not allow you to be needlessly sacrificed to save some worthless fool. He said as he turned to face Sarutobi, who held a black scroll with the Hellsing Uzumaki crest on it and an orange scroll with the Namikaze crest on it. In both scrolls hold some money as well as bank books, checkbooks, and all business and land and other things that belong to you and her. Said the aged leader. Alucard took and opened the black scroll and he focused his chakra into it, and a small puff of smoke popped out, about 200,000 in cash. A smirk crept across his lips as he took out 50,000 and slid it over to the old man. This will cover all cost for 6 months worth of blood to be sent to the clan house each month, and I will pay again in another 6 months. Also, when you select your predecessor, make sure they will know of this little arrangement we have made. He said as his eyes flashed crimson to ruby to a deep rich red. Naruto looked in awe. She had never seen this much money before. She looked up at Alucard as he grinned at her. So, are we going shopping then? For I don't think there will be any food at the house and you don't like my outfit. She said as she pouted at the last part. Yes, along the way we will have the Anbu who is gathering some blood for me to us at the clothing shop. Said Alucard as he looked over at Neiko. Neiko looked over at third with a nervous look as the old man nodded his head. She vanished in a swirl of leaves as Inu watched this go on. This foolish village isn't going to know what hit it, and sensei, I hope this is for the best that he is here for her. He thought to himself. Heaven. Kushina watched in the large pool of water. My poor baby. Happy birthday Naru-chan. I'm sorry for forsaking you with my burden. She, the redhead, as a single tear rolled down her cheek. Her sister walked over to her. Kush-chan, what's wrong? Asked Mito as she placed her small hand on her baby sister's shoulder. Kushina looked up and softly smiled. It's Naru-chan's 13th birthday and she has found out about her two burdens. But, it appears great-grandfather Alucard is going to care for her now. He doesn't like the idea of the fox being sealed in her," said Kushina as she looked back down at the pool and at the tall, thin raven hair man. Mito looked down at the pool and gasped. "He's free? But, father said never call upon him unless there was no hope and he will arise and save those of his kin," she told her baby sister. Kushina looked up at her once more. "I think this classifies as that. Naru-chan is alone and those bastards in that kami-forsaking village try killing her each year. They don't want her to get stronger. They want her as a fool," she told her eldest sister. You could see her eyes flicker red. "I for one am glad that devil is alive once more. Maybe, just maybe he will change how they treat her. If all else fails he can spirit her away to somewhere new," she said as she saw her husband walking over to them with a black chain dragging behind him. The Shinigami had given him this little freedom to go and watch his daughter grow up as well as spend a little time with his wife. Minato smiled at the two crimson hair woman. "Hello my love. Hello Mito-san. How's our daughter today?" he asked as he looked down at the pool before him to see a raven hair man dressed in red place his hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Who's that man and what is he doing with Naru-chan?" asked Minato. Village streets. Alucard placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. "Tell me, are you training to be a ninja?" he asked her as he looked at the shops around them. She brightened up and smiled at him. "Yeah, I am. Tomorrow is my graduation and I'll become a genin," she told him. He smirked and saw a shop called Wolf's Fang. "Then we shall get you properly fitted for the life of a shinobi," he spoke as he walked up to the odd little shop with a broken door that was covered with a sheet. Alucard pushes the sheet aside and saw a tall man that stood about 6 feet 0 feet, and had several scars on his cheek and steel gray eyes and salt and pepper hair. The man looked up at Alucard and wiped his hands on his blacksmith apron. "Something I could do for you?" he asked in a gruffy voice. Alucard smirked at the man before him. "Yes, I want to get my granddaughter fit with the proper shinobi attire and weapons," he said as he looked around the little shop. He saw something that was a little out of place. There off in the corner behind the shopkeeper's counter was a large black barrel of gunpowder. "Tell me, do you make custom weapons?" asked the ancient vampire. The man followed Alucard's sight and saw him looking at the gunpowder. "Yeah, I do. You got a schematic or blueprint of a design you want? I'll do it," he said as his sight went to the blonde-hair girl. He smiled at her. "Tell me kiddo, what do you need?" he asked. Naruto was looking around all wide-eyed at all the different weapons and clothing and special Anbu armors. "I don't know where to start," she said as she turned to face him. Part of her feared when he saw her he would throw her out just like the other shopkeepers. "Well, off to your left are all the kunoichi outfits and armors. But I don't carry much orange, but for those infernal skirts Anko likes," said the owner, as he pointed her to the far left of the shop where stood a mannequin dressed in all black with a crimson duster on. Naruto looked up at the mannequin and walked around it. This is what a true shinobi looks like, she half wondered and half asked herself. As the finishing piece to the mannequin, it had crimson hair and twin swords in each hand. At the bottom on it was a small plaque. Kushina Uzumaki, the red-hot habanero, aka the Crimson Death. She slowly read this. Alucard had walked over to see what had made her stop in her tracks. What he saw made him smirk and laugh. "I see. Do you wish to be just like her?" he asked Naruto. She slowly nodded her head and looked up at him. "Very well," said Alucard as he turned to the shop owner. "I want her outfitted just like her mother here," he said. The older man stood still for a long moment as he looked at the raven-hair man and the blonde girl next to. He studied the girl's face and the shape of her eyes and the 3 whisker marks on her cheeks. He smirked. "So, the day has finally came, has it?" he asked as he walked from around the counter and vanished behind a black curtain. Naruto looked up at Alucard, who just shrugged his shoulders. Sarutobi just watched with shock etched onto his face. In stood outside the shop awaiting for Neko to return, and he also had pulled out his favorite little orange book. The villagers around him went on with their day in business, for they had to finish setting up for the Kyuubi festival and the hunt for later that night. But one thing they didn't know was that they would become the prey tonight. The man had returned from the back room with several large black scrolls with the Hellsing Uzumaki crest on it. He had a smirk across his lips. "Your mother ordered these before she knew she was going to have a baby." They are the new style she wanted her look to take on, and honestly I believe they would suit you just as well. You are already as tall as her. She was a tall woman that stood at 5 feet 8, and my dear, you appear to still be growing. The clothing have seals on them to change size and self-clean. Kushina hated doing laundry. How she liked to spend most of her time training and on missions, this was better suited for her. Also there are 2 new swords she had me create for her, and they are made of chakra metal. Also her new midnight black duster that says Crimson Death in kanji on the back, as well as her red tinted wireframe sunglasses. He said as he placed the scrolls down. Sarutobi walked over to them. Weston, are you sure you want her to have her mother's old look? He asked the now named Weston. Yes, Naruto is the heiress of her mother's legacy and even her father's. When the day comes and I see she is ready, I will give her the special kunai that Minato used for his flying thunder god Justice. Till then I believe she is ready to follow in Kushina's footsteps," said Weston as she grinned at the girl. "All you will need is new stronger Anbu armor that I have just created, and any other of the other girly needs you want for my shelves," he said as he went back to the counter. Naruto grinned as she went about her shopping and gathering all the times she needed and doubling her stick of kunai and shuriken, and also grabbing a box of ninja wire. She had a feeling she was going to need this. Also several boxes of flash bombs, explosive tags, and smoke bombs. She looked around some more and grabbed a case of chakra ink for her seals. She finally made her way to the kunoichi section and grabbed several of the reinforced bras and other undergarments she will need. Alucard watched her with a grin. She is interesting, and that ninja wire would be fun to see if she could copy some of Walter's tricks, he thought as he turned to look at Weston. How sharp is that ninja wire? He asked with amused grin. Weston looked at the no-life king and thought for a second. It isn't very sharp. It's more for setting up traps and other little things. But I do have a new wire I have been developing out of charca metal that allows the user to slice clean though anything, he said as he turned around and grabbed the little black box. He turned, placing it on the counter before him, and looked back up at Alucard. "This baby here is what you want," said Weston as he smirked. It appears he wants to train her in long-distance assassination, he thought to himself. Alucard walked up to the counter and looked the little black box over. "It will work well with any charca afflictions she may have?" he questioned. Yeah, he was around for the start of the shinobi age, but he didn't really look into bloodlines and all or the elemental crap, as he first called it. "Yeah, it will. I'm just waiting to see what hers are," said Weston as he nodded his head over to Naruto. Her father was wind. Kushina was water and fire. A very odd and rare mix, he finished saying as he looked over at the third. Sarutobi just sighed. His little princess was growing up too fast and he didn't like it. "I hope everyone here knows what they are doing," he stated as he looked at the door as Neko and Inu walked in. On Neko's shoulder was a black lunch bag. She looked at Alucard a little uneasy. "I got what you need," she whispered as she handed over the bag to him. He grinned at her. "Thank you, my dear," he told her, and the bag vanished within his trench coat. "Tell me, Weston, could you make gloves that have those wires sealed into them?" asked Alucard as he turned once more as he saw Weston placing the proper under armor on the counter for Naruto. "Yeah, I could do that. Also I could throw in a scroll on how to control chakra strings so she can learn to use the wire the same way. Or we can create a whole new scroll and skill from scratch." Alucard raised an eyebrow to this. It appears that old skill fade into the dust with guns and other skill, he mused to himself before speaking. "That will do for now. Once she is used to them, I will be teaching her an old friend's skills on how to kill with wires alone. But I will need someone to take notes and put together a training scroll for her when I'm teaching her," he said with a wicked smirk. Weston paled. "Well, I could help you after the shop is closed or when my daughter is manning the shop to get that scroll made," he said as he feared he was getting into something over his head. "That would do fine. But it will be a month or 2 before we begin her training in that field. That would also give you time to create those gloves for her," said Alucard as he turned to see Naruto standing behind him looking at the floor. He raised his raven eyebrow at her. "What is wrong?" he asked, a little interested in what she had to say. She looked up into his crimson eyes and sighed. Do you really think I could do this?" she asked as she looked at the chakra wire and at the new items they were getting her. "My dear, you are of the Hellsing and my bloodline. We are born warriors. Your grandmother Integra was a master swordswoman and a grand general. and I was a count that rule his own lands and armies. I stuck fear in my enemies and allies. I was known as the Blood Count. Before I became who you see here today," said Alucard with amused look on his face as he saw everyone in the shop pale. Even the ones in the masks had paled from this little bit of information. Naruto looked up at Alucard and gave him her true smile. "Thank you. You don't know how much that means to me," she said as a single tear rolled down her cheek. What the hell have these people done to her to make her feel so weak? Mused Alucard as he looked at Sarutobi. The old man caught the look and knew hell was going to rain down on this village. Tonight was going to be the night these people will fear a new monster. Weston sealed everything into a scroll and Naruto had vanished into a dressing room to put on her new outfit. When she appeared, Alucard couldn't help from laughing his ass off. Naruto had on the new black Anbu armor long sleeve under a black short sleeve top with the Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze seal on the left breast. Black armor leggings, black mini shirt with crimson belt. Thigh-high black boots with a 2-inch heel and the black duster that said, "Crimson Death," in kanji and a crimson hoodie under the duster. The swords laid on the counter as Naruto looked at them. Just think of police girl's outfit and add the armor mesh and you have her new look. She had pulled her hair into 2 pigtails with help from Neko. The girl's hair was almost to the floor from how long it is. Her crimson-tinted wire-frame glass rested in her breast pocket on her shirt. "My dear girl, if your hair was crimson I would be looking at your mother," said Weston as he looked at her in awe. Inu stood there in shock as he whispered, "Kushina-san." Naruto smiled as she poked at the 2 blades. "I'm not sure how to place those on me," she said a little worried. "Don't worry for now. We'll just seal them and tomorrow you will begin learning with them," said Alucard as the others nodded. The third paid for everything that was bought at Weston's shop and they made their way to some other shops to get some food and other girly things Weston didn't carry and Neko would have to help the girl pick out. They went into a grocery store and Alucard caught all the glares the girl was receiving and saw how she withdrew into herself. She placed a fake smile as she pushed the shopping cart to where the ramen was. This made Alucard wrinkle his nose. "As of tonight, you will not be eating very much of that crap," he told her. She looked up at him and pouted. "This is all I can afford and is the only thing they don't sell that is rotten or was to go bad within a day or two," she told him. His crimson eyes flashed with anger and disgust at what he heard. "We have to at times do the shopping for her," said Neko. "I at times when I am free from paperwork go shopping with her as well to get her milk and fresh items," said Sarutobi as a sad look overtook his face. "What's that demon brat doing in here?" whispered a woman with short brown hair to another woman with black hair. "I don't know, but it appears she tricked the Hokage to do her shopping again," said the woman with black hair. Alucard looked at the 2 women. "Demon you say?" he thought to himself. "Neko, could you help her get items that will be healthy and easy for her to make? I haven't cooked in a very long time and wouldn't make anything she would be able to eat," said Alucard as he vanished from the group to look around and listen to the humans talk. In the alcohol section 2 men that appeared to be already drunk were placing more beer and sake into a cart as they talked. "Tonight is the 11th annual fox hunt," said the larger man as he put a bottle of vodka into the cart. "I think this will be the year we kill it. Damn beast killed my sister and I will end for what she did 13 years ago," said the man in a Chunin vest. "So, these fools blame her for something she had no part in," mused Alucard as a devilish grin crossed his lips. "If they want to hunt her, I will give them all a hunt they will never forget." With that he vanished and appeared next to Naruto and Neko. "Naru-chan, chicken will be something that is easy to cook and when we get you to your new home I'll show you how to make a beef stew. Whatever is left from it, we'll freeze and you can eat later," said Neko as she saw Alucard appear next to them. "Have you gotten everything?" asked Alucard as he looked at the overflowing cart. Naruto smiled. "Yeah, we just have 2 more stops before the sun sets totally and we're done," said the young blonde with a smile. "Yes, we just need a cookbook for beginners and some girly items," said Neko as she softly blushed looking at Alucard who looked at her with amused smile. They went to the counter as people just stared at the girl with disgust and hate. Neko took over and placed everything on the counter and watched so the store owner wouldn't overcharge the girl. "Neko-san, are you shopping for a party?" asked the woman checking them out. "No, just stocking up for the week," replied Neko. "So, why is that child with you?" asked the woman. Neko was growing impatience with the woman. Just showing her how to shop before my shift is done for the night. It is important to know how to shop for a balanced diet, she told the woman. The woman just eyed Naruto from head to toe. It shouldn't matter after tonight, the old bat thought to herself. They finished and Alucard paid for the items. As they left the store, Raven appeared. Lord Hokage, I have taken the liberty to go and pack up Naru-chan's apartment after I met with Neko at the hospital, said Raven, but sadly I wasn't able to save much. For when I got there, her place was up in flames. I put it out and got what I could from her room that she had sealed under her bed and under the floorboards, and from her bathroom and her 2 potted plants. He finished his report. Thank you, Raven. Also, I would like you to look into who destroyed her place and bring them to me. They will pay for everything, and if it was her landlord, I will make him pay dearly, said the aged Hokage. Neko vanished for a moment and returned with several beginner's cookbooks. Here, Naru-chan, these will help, she told the girl as she handed her the bag. Their next stop was at a general store. Raven and Neko dragged Naruto in as the others followed behind them. Alucard was happy to see that the girl had several people that did care for her and wanted only the best. Inside, Neko took Naru to the feminine hygiene products and got the girl the things she would need and pretty much got her a year's supply. Naruto had found her way to the makeup and looked at Neko for some help. My little Naru-chan wants to wear makeup? Teased Neko. My little Naru-chan is still too little for makeup, teased Raven. I'm 13 years old and the other girls of my class have been wearing the stuff for a couple years now, whined Naruto. Only lip gloss and a light eyeshadow, said Inu as he looked down at Naruto. We want you to be respected as a kunoichi and not look like those little tramps in your class. He finished as he pulled a soft red cherry lip gloss for her. Neko picked out a black, silver, light red eyeshadow for her. I think these 3 colors will make her eyes pop, said Neko. Raven had went and got some kunoichi nail polish in red, pink, black, and purple. I like these colors for you. Inu, maybe get her a subtle red lipstick so she can place the lip gloss over it, said Raven as he grinned at the paling Inu. But before they could do or say anything, Alucard appeared behind them. Are you giving my dear girl a goth look? Asked Alucard, who looked amused at everyone. He reached out and pulled a black lipstick from the rack. This would do wonderful for that look. But it might shock the other in her class tomorrow, he said, laughing. Naruto tilted her head to the side and grinned. They would be fun to try a new look, and I'm already all in black pretty much. She trailed off when she saw a ruby red lipstick and it had glitter on it. Before anyone knew what happened, Naruto darted out of their sight and came back with several tubes of lipstick. One pink and glitter and another black with glitter and softer shades of eyeshadow. Alucard smirked. I think I have enough makeup. How about some PJs? For what Raven said I lost all my regular cloths, said Naruto with a pout. Heaven, no, my baby isn't ready for makeup, cried Minato as Kushina's sweat dropped and patted his back. It's okay, hun. She is growing up and try to make her mark as a ninja, said his wife. The first and second Hokage joined the group to see what Minato was crying about. Shopping. Everyone stopped as they thought they heard the cries of a father whose little girl was growing up too fast. They found their way to the PJs and underwear department, and everyone looked at Inu as he giggled like a schoolgirl. Hentai Inu, said Naruto as Inu fell to the ground. The others just laughed at him. Neko helped her get what she needed as Alucard and Sarutobi glared at Inu and Raven. Both young men didn't know who they feared more, the Hokage or the no-life Kane. For at that moment they both looked scary. The 2 kunoichis vanished and came back with shorts and t-shirts and a few other odds and end. They paid and left. Naruto was looking up to the sky as she saw it was getting darker. Please, we need to get home, she thought with a little panic in her eyes. Alucard laid his hand on her shoulder. Don't worry, my dear, for I am here now, and all those who try to hurt you will die by my hands, he told her as a dark and crazed grin crept across his lips. The lanterns began to light up and the Kyuubi festival was at full force. People dressed in festival kimonos and children enjoyed themselves with games and whatnot. The bars and the stands the bars had set up were full of men and some women getting themselves all drunk. For a drunken state was easier to forgive themselves for hurting a child. Naruto took Alucard's hand into hers as she saw some of the looks she was getting from the drunks. He followed her sight and saw what was making her uneasy. They had finally left the village, but they could feel a few people trailing behind them. As they passed training ground 44, a stray kunai came flying out from the tree line. "Who goes there?" came a woman's voice. "Anko-chan. It's me, Nako-chan," called out Nako. Anko jumped out of the trees and over the fence. Her eyes landed on the third. "Lord Hokage? I'm so sorry. I thought it was drunks coming to make some trouble," she said with panic in her voice. "It is fine, my dear. We are just showing Naru-chan her mother's home as well as her great-grandfather," said Sarutobi as he gestured to the two beside him. Anko looked Naruto over and grinned and looked at the raven-hair red-clad man. "All this time I thought you were a boy," she said, laughing as her right hand was behind her head. "I'm not a boy, but that was how I was forced to dress," whined Naruto as she glared at Anko. "So, you're going to the old Uzumaki place?" questioned Anko. "Yes, my dear. It is our clan's home, and as Naru-chan is the last clan head, it is only right to live there," said Alucard with a grin. Anko just shrugged. "Mind if I join you? The drunks are going to be annoying tonight and I'd rather check out the old haunted house," she said with a grin as she saw Naruto pale a little. With that, they made it to the Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze clan mansion. 1 a.m. Naruto, Nako, and Anko passed out on the large couch watching movies. As Inu and Raven slept on the floor, the third had long left crying about evil paperwork. Alucard on the other hand was sitting outside smoking as he saw the glow of several torches. So, it starts, he thought as he faded into the shadows. All that was seen was the glow coming from his cigar. "Come on, they moved the beast out here to keep it safe," came a man's voice. "Kill the beast," chanted several of the people in the group. In the middle of the group came a dark but calm voice. "Why kill a child when you will meet your end by a devil long feared though time?" said the eerie dark voice. That night screams came from the forest. The people in the village could hear. A lone person came crawling back to the village all beaten and bloody. The boy was crying as an Anbu picked him up and took him to the hospital. The following morning was going to be fun. It was the morning of the Genin exam and Naruto was curled up with Nako and Anko, all three softly snoring away. Inu and Raven had just woken up when they heard the front door open and saw Alucard walking in with a white towel that had something red on it as he finished wiping his hands. Both young men looked at each other and nodded. They didn't want to know that answer. This made Alucard grin even more. Alucard walked over to the large couch the girls are sleeping on. He grinned as he pulled out Jackal and fired off a round into the ceiling. All three girls jumped up with kunais and snakes ready to strike. "Good morning, ladies. I'm glad to see you've all have slept well," he said with a devilish grin. Anko smirked and crawled over to Alucard. "I would have slept better with you by my side," she said with a wicked grin. "Let's see how he handles that," she thought to herself. "My dear girl, you would have been up all night praising or cursing Kami's name," said Alucard with a wicked twinkle in his eyes. Anko just sat there. It appeared he had shortened her out from his comment. This was a first for the snake mistress. Inu and Raven snicker like two schoolgirls looking at Anko's reaction. She turned to glare at the two male Anbu. "If I was you, I would stop laughing, or would you like my little friend down there make you scream?" she told them in a sickly sweet voice. The two looked down to see a very large python coming their way. With that, they jumped onto the couch hugging Nako and Naruto as they tried to get away from Anko's little friend. "Now children, it is time to get ready for the day. Nako and Anko, would you help Naruto get her hair done for school?" asked Alucard as he turned to Inu and Raven. "You two into the kitchen. Clean up last night dinner and fix breakfast as the girls get ready," he ordered as everyone went where they were told to. Naruto and the other two wander up the stairs with the scrolls with her new cloths and other items as they found a large room to their left at the top of the stairs. They went in and saw a king-size bed and huge bathroom off to their left, and to their right was a huge walk-in closet. The room just had the basic items. It appeared to be a guest room or something. "Naru-chan, take a quick shower and we'll get you unpacked for now," said Nako as she opened the scroll. She knew she put the cherry blossom shampoo and body soap. She grabbed those two items and gave them to the girl. Anko got busy with the other scrolls and unsealed all the clothing and stuff and laid the stuff on the bed. "Ooh, I like some of the outfits she got," said Anko as she laid out the crimson mesh under armor long sleeve and leggings. She saw the black miniskirt and black short-sleeve top. She paired it with black boot socks and crimson belt with black kunai pouch and back pouch. Anko looked around. It was missing something. But, what? She left the room and went the room at the very end of the hallway and slowly opened the door. The room belonged to Kushina and Minato. Anko saw the photos on the nightstand next to the bed as she looked around. She saw on the main dresser there was a jewelry box and a basket with hair things. Also a heavy-duty hairbrush. She grabbed them all and went back to the bedroom to find Naruto had stepped out of the shower wrapped in a towel putting on her undergarments. "Well, I borrows some items from another room I believe would go well with your outfit," said Anko as she placed everything on the dresser. Naruto looked over at Anko wondering what she could have found when she saw the black oak jewelry box and wicker basket with hair things and a huge heavy-duty brush. "You went into mom and dad's room?" she asked like it was normal. Anko raised an eyebrow. "Guess so. But get dressed and we'll fix your hair," she told the blonde as Naoko walked over to her. "Anko-chan, you know you shouldn't have done that," said Naoko as she looked at the wicker basket with hair items. "Nii-chan, relax. I just took these items. I didn't touch anything. I figure it's up to the brat to do that," whined Anko as she pouted a little. Naruto finished dressing and pulled her hair out of the towel as she walked over to the vanity and sat down on the little stood before it. Naoko began brushing the girl's hair as Anko pulled out 2 hair ties and 2 barrettes with small rubies. Once Naoko got the girl's hair into 2 pigtails, Anko took one of the pigtails and began braiding it and Naoko followed suit. Anko clipped the 2 barrettes in front of the 2 pigtails and Naruto did her makeup. She put black eyeliner that went out in a cattail and black eyeshadow lightly with crimson eyeshadow giving off a glow around her eyes, and then she put on ruby glitter lipstick and slipped the tube into her pouch. Her natural-looking tan skin had a pale glow to it today. She looked haunting. She opened the jewelry box and saw silver bracelets and she pulled them and put them on both wrists and she put her crest necklace on. She looked at the 2 behind her. "I think I'm ready," said Naruto as she looked at herself once more, a little nervous. "Good, 'cause I'm starving," chimed in Anko as she was already at the door. Naoko and Naruto just laughed at her antics. They went downstairs to find the guys cooking and Alucard watching them. "Morning, Alucard Gigi," said Naruto as she walked up to the No-Life King and hugged him. "Good morning, my dear. Those 2 buffoons should have breakfast made soon," said Alucard as he hugged her back. After a while and a small fire, breakfast was done and everyone cleaned up and made their way back to the village. They made their way to the marketplace of the village that lead to the Hokage Tower and the Ninja Academy and Anbu HQ with T and I. Naruto looked around as she was getting looks of shock from the villagers and shinobi that passed by them. Slowly she began to hide herself behind Alucard, who looked down at her with amusement. "She is frightened, little bunny. We'll have to do something about that," he thought to himself. "Naru-chan, we'll see you after your exam. We need to get ready for work and check in," said Naoko as she smiled behind her mask at the girl. Anko walked up to Alucard and trailed her finger under his chin as she leaned up against his body. "I'll be seeing you later, big boy," she said as she winked at him and vanished in a swirl of leaves. He just grinned. Naruto nodded her head to Naoko and shook her head at Anko's antics. "Come on, Grandpa. We'll be late for my class and I want to show you my classroom and have you meet Iruka-sensei," she told the No-Life King. She took his hand and began dragging him to the academy. Hokage Tower. Sarutobi just walked into his office and threw his hat onto the couch. He looked around and saw that his greatest of enemies was missing. Maybe today will be peaceful, he thought to himself as he sat down and looked down at the steaming hot cup of tea at his desk. Just then his door burst open and a woman with long white hair walked in with a stack of papers. "Good morning, Hokage-sama. Here's your morning paperwork. As well, there are at least 15 reported missing people after the festival last night. I assured their families that their loved ones are somewhere sleeping off their hangovers. But the same, here are the photos and all of the missing." She placed the folder before the old man as she turned to leave his office. The door closed and Sarutobi took the folder with the missing in it. He sighed as he saw who was missing. About 10 of these people have had a hand of hurting Naru-chan last year and these other 5 are thought the year they have done something to the poor girl. I know this. They will never be found, the old man said to himself as he took the file and dumped it into the trash and set it on fire with a low-level fire justice. Just then Neko, Raven, and Inu appeared. "Good morning Hokage-sama," they said as one. "Good morning you three," said the Hokage. "I take everything went well last night for my little princess?" he asked them. "Hi, it did Hokage-sama, but this morning Raven and I saw Alucard-sama walking into the house cleaning his bloody hands on a towel," said Inu, as he looked over at Raven who nodded his head in agreement with his comrade. "I figured much. I was given a report just a few minutes ago of 15 mission civilians and shinobi. But, if I took a guess, they are the ones that Alucard was cleaning off of his hands this morning," said the third as he looked at the small fire with a tried look. "Shit is going to hit the fan very soon," he told his three Anbu before him. They just looked at him and slowly nodded their heads. They had the same feeling when they woke up this morning. Shinobi Academy. They arrive at the academy, but it appeared they made it there early, and for once Naruto seemed happy about that. "Grandpa, this is where I come to learn how to be a ninja," she said with a smile as they opened the front doors and walked down the hallway to room 113. She smiled as she slid the door open. "This is my classroom, where Ruka-sensei and Mizuki-teme teach out class," she said with another smile. She walked up to the very top row to the very last table and sat down. "I take it you don't like this Mizuki-teme?" asked Alucard as he looked around and studied the room before him. He saw a nice dark corner and walked over to it. It happened to be right behind Naruto. "Yeah, he can be a real jerk at times and always trips me when we are working on our class taijutsu," said the blonde as she rested her arms on her desk and laced her fingers together as she rested her chin on her laced fingers. "My dear, she does take after you. If only she had your iron will. Then she would be unstoppable," thought Alucard as he vanished into the shadow. "Grandpa, are you going to hide for a while?" she asked him. "I want to see how they treat you, my dear," he told her as he vanished from her sight. "Heaven, please allow myself or Kushina to return to raise our daughter," begged Minato as he was on his hands and knees as the death god stood behind him with an amused look on his face. "Minato, you know I cannot do this for you. Your daughter is strong and will be fine," said Kami as she looked down at the blonde hair man. Kushina stepped forth and bowed to Kami. "Kami-sama, our daughter is now being raised by Alucard," said the crimson hair woman to Kami. Both Kami and Death God paled. "Alucard has awakened?" the two gods asked at one. "Yes, he has risen last night. Haven't you noticed the 15 new souls that arrived last night?" asked Kushina as she tilted her head to the side as if thinking. "No matter. It would take a while to create you a new body, and that is if we wish to return you. For now that Alucard is awake, there is no stopping him," said Kami as she vanished from their sight. Minato just sighed as he looked at his beloved wife. "I tried, and all we can do is hope that Jiraiya or Tsunade return to help in raising her," he told his wife. "If that what we have for a backup, she is better with grandfather. At least he will make sure she is strong, have respect for others," said Kushina as she crossed her arms. "I only hope the other two awaken. They will keep him more in check and make sure Naru-chan grows up right," she thought to herself as she went back to the pool to join her older sister. "Tsunade still wasting her life away?" asked Kushina as she saw her sister watching her granddaughter. "Yes, it saddens me. She could be so great. But, she allows loss to rule her. If only she could overcome it all and go back to the last of the family she has," said Mito as a tear rolled down her cheek. Creepy crept. Two coffins off in the shadows softly have a blue glow coming from them as the blood on their seals are sucked into the coffins. Unknown shady gambling house. A blonde hair woman with large breast sneezes. "Are you feeling alright, my lady?" asked a black hair woman. "Yeah, I'm fine. Someone must be thinking about me," she replied to the other woman. Konoha's hot springs. Man with long unruly spiky white hair sneezes as he is peeking on the woman on the other side of the fence. "Some beauty out there must be thinking of me," giggled the man as he wrote down what he saw the woman doing. "Academy. I can't believe it. I'm going to pass this damn thing today and you'll be here to see it," said a very cheerful Naruto as she leaned back in her chair, hanging her head back on the back of the chair. "You know you're going to grow stiff sitting that way?" asked Alucard as he laughed at the girl, as she fell out of her chair. Just then students began filing into the classroom. The fangirls glared at Naruto. "Who's the new girl?" screeched a girl with brown hair. "Shut up, Amy. I don't look that different," said Naruto as she glared at the girl. "Troublesome. Naruto, when did you get a fashion sense?" asked a lazy boy with his hair up in a ponytail that looked like a pineapple. Well, Shika, it happened last night. My grandfather didn't like my orange jumpsuit, said Naruto to the now-named Shikamaru. Wait, what? Naruto is a girl, yelled a boy with brown bushy hair and a brown and white puppy on his head. Anyo, I thought you knew all this time, Kiba-kun, said a girl with pale lavender eyes. Really? How many of you thought I was a boy? Asked Naruto to her classmates. This even stopped the fight between Ino and Sakura. Everyone raised their hands but for Shikamaru, Choji, Hinata, and Shino. It is logical that Naruto is a girl. But she was never allowed into the kunoichi classes, for the teachers also believed her to be a boy, said Shino as he pushed his black sunglasses up. Naruto was sitting in the corner drawing little circles as a little storm cloud hung over her head. You guys suck, she said with tears. Just then two men walked into the classroom. Alright, everyone to your seats and settle down, said the Scarface man. Everyone slowly filed into their spots and Naruto went back to her chair. Sakura was looking back and glaring at the blonde. Damn it, when did this happen? Now with Naruto in the running, we have no chance of winning, Sasuke-kun, she thought as she looked at the girl's large chest with tears streaming down her cheeks. It appeared all the other fangirls had the same thought as the pinkette, for tears streaked their cheeks as well. The Scarface Chunin took roll call. Sasuke Uchida. HN, said Sasuke. Naruto Uzumaki? He asked. Up here, said Naruto as she grinned at her sensei. Good, what the hell? You're a girl. Where is Naruto? He screamed. Kami, damn it, it's me, Naruto. I lost the orange jumpsuit and I'm dressing as a girl. Is it that hard to believe I'm a freaking girl? Cried Naruto as she glared at her sensei. Really, Iruka-sensei, I expected more from you. Mizuki Teme, I would see him doing this. But, you, that really hurts, said the blonde with a pout. The boys in the class all looked at her and had one thought. Damn, she is cute. I'm so sorry, Naruto. Please forgive me, said the now-named Iruka. Mizuki just glared at the girl. So, the demon has been hiding her gender till now. Very interesting, he thought to himself as an evil glint was seen in his eyes. Alucard took note of that. He has something planned to hurt the girl. I think it's time to make myself known, he thought as he phased out of the shadows. Everyone stopped what they were doing when they saw a tall slider man coming out of the shadows, dresses in a crimson trench coat and red fedora and black suit with a white shirt and white gloves. What finishes the look off was orange-tinted wireframe sunglasses. He grinned at them all. Good morning, said Alucard. His voice was dark and something from one's nightmares. Iruka swallowed and spoke up. May I help you, sir? He asked the nightmare before them all. Not at all. I came along with my granddaughter to give her support during her exam, said Alucard as he grinned, showing his sharp teeth to everyone as his crimson eyes looked at everyone. Several of the students had passes out from his sight as several ran out of the room holding the back of their pants, skirts. Who's your granddaughter? Asked a nervous Iruka as Mizuki was trying to leave the room. My dear granddaughter is Naruto Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze, said Alucard as he placed his hand on the blonde girl's head. She looked up grinning at him. Everyone stopped then and there as they heard her last names. She is related to the fourth? Questioned some random boy. Yes, she is his daughter. As well as Kushina Uzumaki Hellsing, the last heiress of the Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze clans. Finished Alucard as he watched the wheels turn in everyone's head. You're laying, you demon, shouted Mizuki. Alucard grinned. I have no need to lie to a fool as yourself. For me being a demon, I rather be called by my title of the no-life King Alucard. King of all vampires, he said as his eyes had a soft crimson glow and his long raven hair flow around him as killer intent was leaking off of him. Everyone froze in fear as they looked at the no-life king and their foolish sensei. Ha 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 ha, laughed Alucard as he felt everyone's fear fill the room. Creepy crept. The lids to the two separate coffins flew off as two women sat up. I have a feeling there is a mess I will be cleaning up soon, said a woman with long platinum blonde hair and crystal blue eyes. I feel Master is making trouble as we speak, Sir Integra, said the woman with darker blonde hair and deep blue eyes. Hurry up and help me out of this thing, police girl. We have to go now, said the now named Integra. Yes, sir, said Sarah Victoria, aka police girl. She jumped out of her coffin and went to her master and helped her out of her coffin. Once out, both women vanished into the shadows. Academy. Settle, let us take our exam, said Aruka as he tried to gather his courage to face the man at the back of the classroom next to his little sister. Who was his little brother, but who knew? Mizuki had ran for his dear life and went to make trouble. Aruka went around the room and handed out the exams. All right everyone, you have 1 hour, he said as he sat down and set the time. I hope Inu or Neko shows up soon to help me with the other part. On cue, Neko appeared in the classroom to watch over Naruto. Aruka stood up and walked over to the female Anbu. Excuse me, he said to her. She turned her head from Naruto and a devilishly grinning Alucard to look at the scared face man. Yes, she asked. Would it be too much trouble to ask for help on the last 2 parts of the exam from you? Asked Aruka with hope in his eyes. What happened to Mizuki? She asked, for she didn't see any blood or body parts, so she wanted to know what happened to the lazy-ass silver hair man. Alucard-sama scared him away, said Aruka as he paled a little from the thought of the raven-haired devil in his classroom. Fine, Inu and Raven are already outside at the academy training around, checking over the training dummies and ninja tools for no surprises like the last time, said Neko. She knew she was going to need the others' help with this. The hour had passed and the alarm went off. Alright, class time is up and please place your exam at the end of the roll and follow Neko-san outside and I'll be out there once I gathered all your exams, said Aruka as he smiled at his students. As Alucard was following Naruto out of the room when he stopped dead in his tracks and grinned. Hello my no-life queen and hello police girl, he said with an evil chuckle. Naruto stopped dead in her tracks and turned around and saw a woman that could pass for her sister or hell even her twin. You look like me, said Naruto as she pointed at the woman that was wearing wireframe glasses. Don't you know it isn't ladylike to point at someone? Said the platinum blonde. Our granddaughter grew up on the streets and doesn't know any better, said Alucard with amused grin. Well, that will end today. I see you had say in what she is wearing? Questioned the same woman. No, this is my mother's outfit she never got to wear, said Naruto as she saw the other blonde almost dressed like her. But for her outfit was tan with the Hellsing crest. Grandpa, who are they? Asked the young girl as she sidestepped behind him a little to hide. This lovely woman before you is your grandmother and my bride, Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingett's Hellsing. She was the head of the Hellsing family and organization. The other blonde is my fledgling police girl. I turned her after I shot her though the heart to kill another vampire, he said like it wasn't any big deal. Master, I haven't been a police girl for a very long time. But, my dear, my name is Sarah Victoria, said Sarah. Nice to meet you. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze, said Naruto as she gave them one of her foxy grins. Yo Naruto, are you coming? Yelled Kiba from down the hallway. Oh crap, let's go. I can't fail now, she said as she grabbed Alucard's hand and dragged him from the other 2 women. Integra smirked. It appears my granddaughter has him under a little control, she said as she looked at Sarah and both women followed behind. Aruka looked to have had a heart attack when he heard of what the other 2 women were. Neko, Inu, and Raven stood before the class. Alright brats, this test is to test your accuracy. Each kunai and shuriken hits its bullseye. You have 10 targets and each is worth 1 point. Total of 20. You must get a 6 or high on each to pass, said Neko as she glared at all the kids. She saw the 2 new women following Alucard and knew today had just gotten longer. Shino went first and got 17 out of 20. Kiba got 16 out of 20. Hinata got 19 out of 20. Sakura got a 15 out of 20. Ino did a little better by getting 17 out of 20. Sasuke got 19 out of 20 like Hinata. But he did the best out of all the boys so far. Choji got a 18 out of 20. This shocked everyone for he never really put an effort into anything other than his family justice or eating. Shikamaru got a 20 out of 20. Everyone's jaw hit the ground. Troublesome, he said as he walked back to stand next to Choji. It was finally Naruto's turn. She got 20 out of 20. This even shocked everyone even more, for she never got higher than 12 any other time. But there was one person missing that always made sure she failed. Not bad guys. Now it's the taijutsu part of the exam, said Raven. You will either go up against Inu or myself. He finished. Aruka came out to join the others. Sorry Neko-san, I just finished grading all the exams, he told the female Anbu. That is fine Aruka-san. We just finished the last exam and they did well. But, for a good civilian students, they pretty much sucked getting 2 or 9, said Neko with a sigh. Alucard appeared behind them. Those that scored so low will just fizzle out and be nothing more than a memory, he said with a wicked grin. Alucard-sama, who are those 2 ladies that just appeared? Asked Neko. She wasn't sure she wanted the answer or not. My number life queen and police girl, he said as he just grinned at her. Okay, said Neko as she saw the final exam was coming to an end. Alright, everyone back into the academy for the ninjutsu part, said Iruka as he watched a few kids limping into the doors and Naruto's hanging around police girl's neck just laughing. Raven and Iruka finished the last part as the judging the kids' skills. After 40 minutes they had finally called for Naruto. Naruto, said Raven as he popped his head out of the door to another room. She ran down the steps and vanished into the other room. The girl is the last of our bloodline. She awoke me last night after being attacked, said Alucard, filling in the other 2 on what was been going on. So, that little girl is all that left to carry on the Hellsing bloodline? Said Integra as she looked at the door the girl vanished behind. Exam. Okay Naruto. You must do substitution justice and henge justice and clone jutsu. Then you'll pass, said Iruka. Naruto nodded her head and substituted herself with Raven and then henge into Alucard, almost making Iruka have a heart attack. She grinned and did the shadow clone jutsu. This shocked everyone in the room. How do you know the shadow clone? Asked Iruka. Hokage Gigi, said Naruto. She wasn't going to tell him how she truly learned it. She would be in deep trouble. Well Naruto, you pass. Congratulations, said Iruka as he handed her a forehead protector with a black cloth and smiles at the girl. Naruto ran out into the classroom grinning ear to ear and she showed her family she had passed. Iruka and Raven came back into the room. Congrats on those who passed and those who failed. I'll see you in 9 weeks. In 2 days you will return back for team assignment, he told them as he smiled. With that everyone left the classroom and Naruto grinned looking at the new family she just got in a few hours. As Naruto and the other left the academy, they made their way into the marketplace. Sue, said Naruto as she looked at the others. Alucard grinned looking at the girl. Yes, my dear? He asked looking down at her from his orange tint glasses. She tilted her head to the side with a small pout. I was wondering how you 3 are able to walk in the sunlight also. She trailed off as Bear from Enbu appeared in front of them. Naruto-sama, Hokage-sama would like to see you and your family in the council chambers, said Bear. Integra raised her eyebrow looking at the masked man before them. Hokage? Why would this man want to see us? She asked. Naruto smiled. Grandma, don't worry. Gigi is the head ninja of our village and when he calls for us, we have to go, said the blonde as began walking to the Hokage tower. Integra looked at Alucard. He just smiled. He does what you used to do with Hellsing organization, he told her with a toothy grin. Hokage Tower Council Chambers, aka Chamber of Jackasses. Civilian side anyways. The small group entered the tower and went up to the 3rd floor and turned right leading the chamber and there stood Inu and Neko. They both looked annoyed. So, you 2 got called in as well? Asked Naruto as she saw 2 of her Anbu guards. Correction. Make it 3. Said Raven as the aura around him darkened around him. Shall we then? Asked Integra as she placed her hand on the door pushing it open. On the other side of the door sat the ninja and civilian council members. Hokage-sama, how could that thing be allowed to be a ninja? Yelled a fat civilian that had gold chains around his neck and gold rings adorning his sausage-like fingers. That thing has a name and, she, is my granddaughter, said a platinum blonde woman with crystal blue eyes. She glared at the fat man. The shinobi grinned and smirked at the newcomer's quick lip to defend the girl. Hey Gigi, said Naruto as she walked to the center of the room. Ah, Naru-chan, I am so happy to see you have arrived so quickly, said the third as he smiled at the girl. So, Gigi, what's up? What do you need to see me about? Questioned Naruto as she tilted her head to the side and her pigtails looped over. Muffled laughs could be heard from behind her. She turned to see a few of the members of the Shinobi Council laughing. She made eye contact with Itachi Uchida who had a smirk in his eyes at the girl's antics. 1. Well, Naru-chan, as you're now the head of the Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze clan, you are still underage and need to appoint someone to handle all clan affairs. said Sarutobi. This got the civilian side whispering and talking amongst themselves. A woman with long blonde hair stood up. Seika Haruno would be honored to handle all affairs for young Miss Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze, said the now-named civilian councilwoman. Integra raised her platinum eyebrow at those fools. Those fools only want more power on their side, and with Naruto being head of 3 clans, it will give them power and be able to outvote those others. She thought to herself, those fools, I'll kill them all. Thought Alucard as a dark evil smirk crossed his lips. That will not be needed. Sir Integra Fairbrook Wingate Hellsing, the original head of Hellsing, will handle all affairs for my granddaughter Naruto. Your help will not be needed, said Integra as she glared at Seika. Naruto grinned. Anyways, my grandmother is the best one to handle everything. For my grandpa Alucard would just kill you all and be done with it, said the blonde with an innocent smile across her lips. The civilian council paled from what the girl said. Is that a threat? Asked a man that looked like a horrible cheap knockoff Halloween mummy. No, it is not. What my granddaughter tells you is the truth. I wouldn't waste my time arguing with you fools and just feast on your blood, said Alucard as a crazed grin graced his lips as his eyes glowed a soft crimson. How dare you speak to me like that? Growled out the mummy. Danzo, calm yourself. Alucard-sama is honest with his answers and he wasn't treating anyone, said Sarutobi as he smiled at his old friend. Lord Hokage, he shouldn't be allowed to talk to us council members in that manner, yelled Seika. He did not speak to all of us that way. He only spoke to you civilian members in that fashion. As well, what are you even doing here when this only involves shinobi? Asked Itachi as he smirked at the woman. Yes, I second the notion, said Shikaku. Naruto is from a shinobi clan and isn't civilian, so anything else spoken here isn't for you to hear. So, would the civilian council please leave? Said the lazy Nara. Now that the girl had shinobi ties and backing, those other fools were powerless. It isn't for you to decide if they leave the chambers, Nara, said Danzo as he smirked, believing he still held a little power. Shikaku-san is right. Would the civilian council please leave at once? From here on out this does not involve you, said the Hokage. With shrieks and yells the civilian council was pushed out of the room by several Anbu. As the 4 stood in the center of the room just watching and Naruto waving goodbye to her old headache. Tell me, Miss Integra, are you like Alucard? Asked Sarutobi as he studied the woman before him. Like I said, I am, Sir Integra Fairbanks Wingate Hellsing. Yes, I was turned by Alucard just before I gave birth to our first child, said Integra as she smirked. I see. So, Sir Integra, will you be handling all clan business till Naruto is old enough or makes chunin? Asked Sarutobi. She looked at the old man for a second and turned to look at her granddaughter that stood next to her. I will handle all until I see fit. As well, I will have to groom her better for role of clan head. For now I'll allow her to go play ninja with her grandfather, said the regal British woman. Naruto tilted her head. I'm not playing ninja, and what do you mean groom me? She asked, half confused at the last part. Laughter could be heard from several of the shinobi members. Hiyashi spoke up. Lord Hokage, what do you mean when you asked if she was like Alucard? Questioned the Hyuga head. A grin crept across Alucard's lips. He is asking if she is a Draculina, he said in the most amused manners ever. A what? Asked Choza. A vampire, said Integra very calmly. Vampires are only from myths and legends meant to scare children when they misbehave, said Shikaku. Alucard grinned once more. Then I am the nightmare you feared as a child, he said as his eyes glowed crimson and his fangs showed as he grinned. I am the first vampire to ever walk these lands. I have made many and I have killed even more of them, he said with his wicked grin never leaving his face. Everyone paled looking at the tall man. They then looked at Naruto. They feared for her safety. But this vampire had shown the girl nothing but love since he appeared before them. Will Naruto be safe with a house full of vampires? Asked Sume. Why wouldn't I be safe with my family? Yeah, they drink blood and stuff. But, so far I have been taken well care of. Neko, Inu, Raven and Anko stayed with me last night and nothing happened, said Naruto. Looked at the adults before her a little confused. Besides, who's going to try to hurt me with them protecting me? She asked. She does have a point, said Shiba. If there is anything else? I would like to retire back to our home and eat something, said Integra. Yes, you all may leave, said the third. With that they left heading home. The next morning Naruto got up to find Anko and Neiko asleep in her huge double king-size bed. Naruto jumped out of bed and walked over to her closet. What should I wear? Naruto asked herself as she looked over her mom's outfit. She felt honored but she also wanted her own look. She pulled out several things and went over to her dresser taking a few more things and vanished into the bathroom. Alucard sat in the basement grinning. This shall be fun, he thought to himself as he drank his red wine that was laced with blood. Up in the main office Integra goes over all the paperwork for all the years Naruto's parents had been dead and begins to get everything into order. These fools never once thought about make sure all her parents' affairs were in order. She growled out as she looked at the stack of paperwork. Now in the kitchen we find police girl sitting at the table drinking what looks like V8. As she looked over the newspaper, Naruto finished her shower and dressing in a black and red checkered skirt with black mesh knee-high leggings and a black button-up 3/4 sleeve with a red mesh armor undershirt. She put on a black belt with chains hanging off of it and pulled on black boot socks with red trimming with calf-high boots. She walked back into her bedroom and found black fingerless gloves sitting on her dresser. She looked over at her bed and saw Neiko and Anko slowly sitting up. "Morning you two," said Naruto as she smiled at the two older girls. "Morning Brad," said Anko as she grinned stretching. "Morning Naru-chan," said Neiko as she pulled her hair into a ponytail. "Well, shower is free and there is another shower in the room across from mine if you want to get ready," said Naruto as she pulled the gloves on and walked over to her closet and pulled out a black leather duster and put it on the bed as she brushed her hair. "I call the shower in here," said Anko as she grinned at Neiko. "That's fine, I have to head home before work," said Neiko as she vanished in a swirl of leaves. Time skip Academy. Naruto slowly walks into her classroom. She was early once again. "So, Naruto?" said Sarah. She looked up and over at Sarah. "Yeah?" she asked. "How is this going to work? Sir Integra wants me with you at all time. But, you're also a ninja and I really don't remember much about your kinds of warriors before I went to sleep. Besides what they were like in the old Japanese movies," said Sarah, as she looked around and saw they were the first to arrive. "To be honest, I have no clue and I know you're going to have to rely heavily on your vampire powers to not be seen when you're shadowing me. 'Cause honestly I really don't need a babysitter," said Naruto with a heavy sigh. Said Raven as he appeared before the two. Inu and Neiko have been caring for you for a very long time," he told the blonde as he placed his hand on her head. Swatting his hand away Naruto pouted looking up at him. "Yeah, but you could babysit Sasuke Teme. I think he needs another wake-up call. That ego of his is getting out of hand again," she told Raven with a small grin. "Well, I'll let his brother and mother know," said Raven as he shook his head at the blonde girl's antics. Sarah sat down next to Naruto and sighed. "I know Master will be fallow in you whenever you leave the village," she said as she laid head at the desk before her. "If Master does follow her, there is nothing Sir Integra or I could do to stop him," she thought to herself. After a while the other young genin began filing into the classroom. Kiba walked up to Naruto. "Hey Naruto," said Kiba. Naruto looked up at him and tilted her head to the side. "Do you want to go out on a date sometime?" he asked her. All of a sudden the room grew dark with the sun blocked from the darkness. Eyes began filing the walls and floor. A few girls began screaming and everyone froze. The screams of the girls was heard by all the teachers within the academy. Had all the Chunin teachers running into 113. A voice could be heard all around the room. "Ha ha ha ha. Little boy, run along with your tail between your legs. A child like yourself is unworthy of my granddaughter," came the dark sadistic voice of Alucard. Within the darkness Alucard formed. Kiba took several steps back. Yeah, okay," said Kiba as he felt to his butt crawling away from the girl and her demon of a grandfather. Heaven, Kami, Yami, and Death God stood before their own pool watching Alucard as he scared the poor boy. "Lady Kami, is it wise to allow him to run free?" asked the Death God. "I am working on 2 bodies to send 2 back to keep him under control," said Yami. They both turned and looked at Kami. "I believe Kushina will be one that I will have sent back." Also, after doing some looking and speaking with God, he informed me Father Anderson is still alive. The Vatican had placed him into a deep sleep when Alucard had vanished and believed he would be needed later on when the demon returned," said Kami looking at the other two. But it might not be wise to awaken him. He is as mad as Alucard himself. I figure we could leave him as a trump card if things ever got out of hand with Alucard. She finished saying with a sad and heavy sigh. The other looked at her in shock. One devil for another. I do not believe that is wise, said the death god. We might as well return the girl's parents and allow them to deal with his insanity. He finished. The second body is male and it would be wise, said Yami as she looked at her sister and death god. The chain trailing from the death god lead to another pool away from Kami's temple. The man at the end of it gazed down at the pool with his wife. How in the hell did this happen? Naru-chan is still too young to date. He cried as he looked at his beautiful daughter. I agree with Alucard, he said before he was sent flying. Kushina's fist was extended to her left where her husband once stood. She is the same age you and I began to date. So, shut up, she growled out. Ninja Academy. Alright class, settle down, came an oddly calm voice of Iruka. He looked at all who had passed with a large smile. Today is the start of a new life, he said. Naruto glared at Alucard as she ignored Iruka's little speech about being a ninja and whatnot. I can't believe you did that, she told her grandfather in a whisper. Alucard looked down at her in amusement. My dear girl, he isn't worthy of a young lady as yourself. Your grandmother will find a suitor for you when the time comes. He told her, grinning as his fangs could be seen. With that power my clan could once again be great. If only father was around to help me, thought an emo duck ass. A chill ran down Naruto's back. Something isn't right, my emo senses are tingling, she told her grandfather as she glared at Sasuke as he looked back at her. Team 7. Sasuke Uchida, Sakura Haruno, and finally Sai. Your sensei will be Itachi Uchida, said Iruka as Sakura screamed about true love overcomes all. Team 8. Shino Aburame, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka. Your sensei will be Kurini Yuhi, said Iruka as he looked around with a smile. At least these guys had some type of respect. Team 9 is still in rotation. Team 10 will be Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamichi, Ino Yamanaka, and Naruto Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze. Your senseis will be Asuma Sarutobi and Kakashi Hitaki, said Iruka as he smiled at everyone. Why does Team 10 get 2 sensei and why a 4-man genin team? Asked Sasuke. We had an odd number this year and by the request of the Hokage she was paired with Team 10 with an extra sensei to help with training, said Iruka. But anyways your senseis will be here soon. So once again good luck, he said as he vanished in the doorway. Everyone looked at Naruto as she talked to her grandfather and the other blonde-hair woman next to her. So, I joined the Ino Shikacho trio? This will be fun, said Naruto as she stood up. Alucard watched her like a hawk. I should awaken her powers soon. But, how will they react with that fox in her gut? He thought to himself. Naruto walked down to her new teammates. Softly she smiled as she sat down next to Ino. Ino looked up at her with a grin. We have to go shopping at this. We need some girl time, said Ino as she had a far-off look. Shopping? Are you sure? Asked a nervous Naruto. Just ignore her, she is daydreaming about sales again, said Shikamaru as he sighed. This will be troublesome, he mumbled. This munch will be great, said a munching Choji. It had been several days since Team 10 met their senseis and passed the bell test and Kakashi almost being mauled to death by Integra and Alucard for the 1000 years of death he pulled on Naruto. Flashback no justice. Team 10 meet us on the roof in 5 minutes, said a tall man with a beard. All 4 members of Team 10 stood up and walked out of the classroom leaving their former classmates behind. They went down the hallway and to a door marked stairs and went up them till they finally made it to the rooftop. There stood the breaded man smoking and a man with silver hair man reading an orange little book, and to the far corner stood Alucard and Sarah watching the 2 men. The young ninjas all sat down before the 2 men and watched them. The breaded man blew out a poof of smoke and looked at his 4 students. How about we go around introducing ourselves? He told them. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Hellsing Namikaze. I love my new acquired family, I like ramen and my friends, I enjoy training. I hate the 3 minutes you have to wait for ramen to cook. Also people who can't tell the difference between a sealed kunai and the scroll that holds it. One day I hope to surpass the old man and my father at being Hokage, said Naruto with a large foxy grin. The other three members looked at her funny about the scroll part. But they brushed it off. Shikamaru Nara, too troublesome to tell you the rest, said Shikamaru as he looked up to the sky and sighed. Lazy ass. My name is Ino Yamaha. I love flowers, gossiping. I dislike Sakura. I want to marry Sasuke in the future, said Ino with a far-off dreamy look. Naruto gagged at the thought and fell backwards on the bench from her dramatic antics. All eyes fell on her as Choji laughed and Shikamaru just smirked. What the hell is your problem, Naruto? Growled Ino as she glared at her fellow blonde. Picking herself off the ground, Naruto smirked at Ino. I have no problem. I just think your future dream is foolish. Sasuke is gay, said Naruto with a shot-eating grin. No, he isn't, cried Ino as she glared at Naruto. Sure, and me walking in on him checking out the guys in the shinobi classes is just him see who is stronger? Asked Naruto as she tilted her head to the side. Both male members of the team paled and turned green from the thought of Sasuke checking them out. Ino just glared at the girl and crossed her arms. Name is Choji Akamichi. I like trying different foods, my friends and family. Dislike people who always diet and not appreciate good food. One day be clan head after my dad is good and ready to step back and let me take over, said Choji. Both men looked at each other. My name is Asuma Sarutobi. I am the son of the 3rd Hokage and once a member of the 12 Fire Guards of the Fire Lord, said the now-named Asuma. He looked over at his ko-sensei. Name is Kakashi Hitaki. You're too young to know the rest, said the now-named Kakashi. This led the 4 genin to have sweat drops from on the side of their heads. Naruto? Asked Shikamaru. Yeah, Shika, said Naruto. Is your creepy grandfather and his girlfriend going to always be shadowing you? Asked Shikamaru as he studied the 2 vampires watching them. Naruto sighed and hung her head in defeat. Yes, they will be our shadows. Well, more like my shadows. Grandpa Alucard will only come along for missions outside of the villages, while Sarah will only follow us around the village. Before you ask, senseis the 3rd has already okayed this. He stated the fact who my father was and how many people he pissed off along with my mother, and the scary thing is she has a higher count of enemies, she said as she looked at her grinning grandfather and a smiling Sarah. Oh, okay. Well, meet us at Training Ground 10 tomorrow at 6 a.m. Make sure not to eat, for this is the real exam to become genin, said Kakashi as he vanished. Troublesome, said Shikamaru as he stood up. He turned to the other 3. We should work out a plan of attack. There is no way 4 freshly minted genin can take on 2 jonin-level ninjas one-on-one. So this is a team exam on how well we work together, he said as the other 3 nodded their heads. That boy has the making of a great strategist in general. He will be one to keep an eye on in the near future, thought Alucard as he walked up to the 4 genin. The 4 genin found a nice shady spot at Training Ground 10. So, what do we do now? Asked Ino, looking a little annoyed. Simple, my dear. You come up with a plan of attack, said Alucard as he grinned. Sarah looked over at her master. When were you one for planning, master? Alucard grinned. I just attacked and allowed Integra to plan all she wanted for the others. Naruto raised an eyebrow to this and looked at the others. So, what's the plan, Shika? She asked him as she hoped he would come up with something useful. Hokage Tower Chamber of Horror. You're telling me that you want to use my granddaughter as breeding stock? Asked Integra as she slammed her fist down onto the table. Yes, she is the last of 3 bloodlines, and if she is anything like her mother, her golden chakra chains should be awakening soon, said one of the elders. I don't give a damn. If she is the last of the bloodlines still breathing, she will not be forced at the age of 16 to retire and force out babies from several men, growled Integra. Her crystal blue eyes appeared like steel with flashes of crimson in them. When her grandfather hears of these, I will be the least of your worries, she told the old crone. The woman paled and looked for the Hokage for help. Naruto cannot be forced into the CRA. She has every say in this, said the Hokage as he smiled. But, Lord Hokage, she is the last of the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans. She must have 2 male heirs to carry each bloodline, posted the other elder. Naruto isn't the last of the Uzumaki bloodline. Tsunade Senju is Quart Uzumaki due to her grandmother Mito. So, the girl isn't the last, said the third. This got Integra to look at him. I have another granddaughter? She asked. She looked surprised by this new development. That you do, Sir Integra. But Tsunadeheim is in her early 40s and we are not sure if she would or has had any children. After the death of her fiancé, she left the village, said Sarutobi with a sad and heavy sigh. Gambling house in the land of fire. A busty blonde hair woman with honey brown eyes sneezed as she pulled the lever of the slot machine. Achoo, are you alright, Lady Tsunade? Asked a raven hair woman sitting next to her holding a little piglet. The now named Tsunade looked over at the other woman. I'm fine, Shizuna. As she spoke those words she hit the jackpot. Slowly she raised an eyebrow to this. Heaven, this is just getting more and more interesting, said Mito as she looked at her baby sister. I know, makes me wonder what's going to happen next, said Kushina as they watched what was happening back on Earth. Minato sat by himself watching his daughter and after listening to what the elders want to do to his daughter. Maybe it was for the best that they awoken to protect her from the elders and any other fools. He thought to himself as he slowly sighed. Training Ground 10. It was 5:30 a.m. and the 4 genin had just finished putting the finishing touches on their traps and plan. Naruto had brought everyone sweet rice balls. She figured it would be best if they ate and not starved themselves and weakened their chances of passing. Ino, you better eat, said Naruto, passing her a rice ball she made that morning with the help of Anko and Neko. Naruto, you know I'm on a diet, said Ino as she yawned and pushed the offered food away. What does a walking bag of bone need to be on a diet? Asked Alucard as he looked the girl over. All you're doing is hindering your chances of passing, and if you do pass you will get yourself or your teammates killed for starving yourself to look like something that shouldn't exist. He took a drink from his wine glass as he sat on a throne that wasn't there earlier. Troublesome. But, he is right. With all the training we will be doing, you will burn off all you eat and tone up your body and look healthier. Then what you do now? Said Shikamaru as he let out a sigh. Naruto took her chance. Look at me. I like as much or more than Choji and look how skinny I am. She said, taking off her leather duster, showing off a red midriff top that hung off her right shoulder with a black sports bra and short shorts with black mesh leggings and knee-high ninja boots. What you could see of her body, she was well built and had the body of a runner. Both Shikamaru and Choji blushed softly seeing her dressed that way. She looked over at them. What? Anko picked out my outfit for this morning, saying something about throwing our senseis off on their game. She told them. Alucard just grinned as he watched the boys' reaction. It appears Anko was right, he said with a laugh as his granddaughter looked at him puzzled and Ino looked at her fellow blonde in shock. Eating like a pig got you a body like that? Asked Ino as she took a couple of rice balls and began to eat. Well yeah, and training all the time and running for my life on a nightly basis does wonders for one's body, said Naruto as she chuckled as she pulled out some more rice balls. The others looked at her confused about what she said. They could feel a dark aura flowing off of Alucard. They didn't want to say or do anything that would set off the crazed vampire. As they finished their breakfast, Asuma and Kakashi appeared. What do you four think you're doing? Asked Kakashi as he eyed them with his only visible eye. Naruto looked over at him a little bored. We're eating. Why, you may ask? Well, if we don't have any energy we will not fare well against you both and only weaken our team and maybe even get ourselves or another hurt or even killed from our lack of being prepared. As a team we need to make sure we are on the same level or skill set to cover for the other teammate. She told him as she was looking at her nails. Kakashi's eyes smiled and Asuma grinned. It appears you four have figured out the meaning of this test and are working to aid your teammates, said Asuma as he smiled at Team 10. I say you four passed. Unless you want to go thought with the exam, he added as he took a drag from his cigarette. Shikamaru deadpanned. So, all the traps and planning we did was for nothing? Troublesome. He walked over to a tree and sat down. Asuma-sensei, could we go on our first D-rank mission or do some training? Asked Naruto as she let her dust drop off her shoulders as she walked over to Shikamaru as the other two followed behind her. Both Jonin saw what she was wearing and had a slight blush. We could do some training to see your skill set and see where you four will need to grow and improve in, said Asuma as he cleared his throat and looked away when he felt Alucard's eyes on him. Note to self, don't piss that man off. Asuma thought to himself. If he only knew Kakashi had the same thought. Alucard stood up and walked over to the two men with a wicked grin across his lips. Even though Kakashi knew the vampire when he was still Inu, he still hadn't gotten used to the man. I can tell you now. You will have to work with each of them on their taijutsu, ninjutsu, genjutsu, and stamina and chakra control. Naruto will need high-level chakra control exercises. For her chakra reserves at this moment are high chunin to low jonin. But her control isn't that great. Ino needs to raise her stamina and chakra reserves and learn several fighting styles. For she can not only rely on her family bloodline, that also goes for the other two, said Alucard as he looked at the four young genin. Yes, Integra had informed me about each clan the children come from and their bloodline limits. He finished as he stood next to the two men. I see, thank you for the input. I will have to get a few scrolls from my father on chakra control that will work well for Naruto, said Asuma as he wrote something down. Kakashi snapped his book closed. I want Naruto and Ino to spar and Shikamaru and Choji to spar together. That way we can judge your skill levels and figure out what fighting style would work well for you. He walked over to the center of the training field as a net came flying up from the ground as several paint smoke bombs went off. As the smoke cleared, Kakashi was covered in orange paint with a shredded net in his hands. Everyone couldn't stop from laughing at the Cyclops. His silver hair was tipped in orange and his precious face mask was a pink color. Man, Naruto, you're going to have to teach us how to make those paint smoke bombs and how you worked it to dye any color different, laughed Choji as he slapped his hand on her shoulder. Was all Kakashi could say as he looked down at his now pink Jonin vest. My don't you look ravishing in pink, said Alucard as he grinned. After that the day went on. Asuma had left in a swirl of leaves to get several scrolls for each of his and Kakashi's students and to also inform his father of his team passing. All honesty, he really didn't want to do the exam. All he wanted to do was play a game of shogi and maybe take a nap. But it appeared Kakashi and Alucard had other plans. Sarah had appeared around lunchtime with enough food to feed two armies. I hope you guys like it. Sir Integra ordered me to make you all a healthy and well-balanced lunch, she told them as she set everything out. Naruto and Choji had a gleam in their eyes and even Ino looked like she was starving. Maybe having been worked to the ground had something to do with it. It was the first time someone took the kid gloves off and put the girl in her place. On this time we wasn't daddy's little princess. No, she was a ninja and soldier on the battlefield that will lay her life on the line to protect those precious to her. Alucard took this time and vanished. He appeared in front of Wolf's Fang. He grinned as he pushed the curtain to the side. I see you had another disagreement? He asked Weston. Weston looked up from his catalog to see the King of Darkness in his shop. Yeah, had a couple fools from the Civilian Council try to order me from selling to you or Naruto. It appears your girlfriend did a number on them and got them banned from all the ninja action, he said as he grinned. Well, Integra has never been one to be pushed aside and ordered around, said Alucard as he walked up to the counter. He reached into his trench coat and pulled out a blueprint. Weston grinned looking over the blueprints Alucard had drawn up for him. So, Alucard, this is the toy you want me to make for you? Asked Weston as he looked up at the no-life king. He looked up at the man and grinned. No, this isn't for me. This one will be for Naruto. I will also have some others drawn up for Police Girl, Integra, and maybe for Naruto's little playmates, he said with a grin. But, I do have different blueprints for my toys. Do you believe you could make this one first? Maybe then I'll have you make mine. Maybe for now you could sell me some gunpowder, he said with a glim in his eyes. Fine, I can do that, but this will not be cheap. For this gun will be made with chakra metal and I figure you will also want bullets made as well? Questioned Weston. Alucard looked up at him a little surprised. You've seen guns before? He asked. Only once in some old books my father had. He told me one day I will have to create one for someone, said Weston as he smiled. A memory filled his eyes. My family are the last that know of the ancient weapons, he told him as he turned and looked to the doorway as he heard footsteps coming down some wooden stairs. Hey daddy, said a girl with panda bun brown hair. She smiled at Alucard as she walked up to her father and looked at the blueprint on the counter. Daddy, is that what I think it is? She asked with stars in her eyes. Alucard grinned in amusement. Well my dear, it appears you have any eye for excellent weaponry, he said with a fanged smile. She looked up at Alucard. Well, my dad is training me to be a weapon mistress and master blacksmith, so I should know all types of weapons, she told him with a smile. Weston looked at his daughter with pride in his eyes and smile. Tenten will one day take over my shop and title of Master Blacksmith," he said with a smile. "With Naruto and crew. Troublesome," said Shikamaru as he looked at the two crazy blondes of his team. Ino grinned as Naruto jumped over her shoulder and tackled Shikamaru to the ground. "Aw, what's wrong, Shika?" asked Naruto as her blue eyes looked deep into his very own black eyes. A soft blush crossed his cheeks as Ino and Choji both laughed at him on the ground. "Get off of me, Naruto," said Shikamaru in a louder voice. Kakashi looked at his students and smiled. "It appears you four have found a way to work well together," he said as he turned to see Asuma reappear. "I have the chakra control exercise for Naruto. But I'm afraid I had to get help from Guy on what taijutsu styles would work best for the kids," said Asuma as he sighed in defeat as he walked over to the others. Kakashi paled as he looked over at Asuma. "You didn't?" he asked as fear appeared in his only eye. All four genin looked over at the Cyclops. Each held wonder in their eyes. "Isn't he the guy who run around in a green leotard?" asked Naruto as she tilted her head to the side. Just as she asked that question, a man with black hair with it in a bowl cut and green leotard with huge eyebrows appeared. Sarah stared at the man in shock. Never in her life and in her undead life had she seen something like that. "Master," she thought as Alucard appeared behind her. "Dynamic entry," yelled the green-clad man. Before anyone could move, Alucard had his gun pointed at the man's forehead. A sadistic grin crept across his lips. "It appears I'm in luck. A demon from the old world still lives," he said as everyone paled. "Grandpa," said Naruto, trilling off, "I assure you, sir, I have no idea what you're talking about. I am the beautiful green beast of the leaf." "Mike Guy," said the now-named Guy. "What a pity," said Alucard as he lowered his gun. All around stared at the weapon in his hand. Even though he didn't make Guy a stain on the ground, Alucard still held his wicked grin as he looked to the others and to his granddaughter. All eyes followed the gun in Alucard's hand as he put it back from where he had pulled it from. What was that?" asked Ino as she looked at Naruto with wide eyes. Naruto looked at the girl and then back to her grandfather. "I have no idea," she said in a soft voice. You could still see the shock and surprise in her eyes. "Do you like what you saw?" asked Alucard as he grinned at the young blonde. "It is a weapon we have never seen before. Could it be from a time you have lived though?" asked Kakashi. Sarah looked over at the others and softly smiled as a sweat drop appeared. "Those are Master's priced guns. Jackal and Cascal Black," she told them. "That is correct, police girl. I also have your cannon sealed away," said Alucard with a devilish grin. Everyone's mouth fell open with shock. They have heard old stories of weapons of the ancient world. Kakashi snapped out of the shock and cleared his throat. "They say there is a village to the west that has these strange weapons," he spoke. This drew Alucard's attention to the silver hair ninja. "Interesting. Weston believed to be the only one to recreate my little toys," he thought to himself. "Well, Naruto and maybe the others will be trained alongside her with guns or cannons," Alucard said as his crimson eyes fell upon Choji. The poor boy had chills run down his spine. Sarah had a small sweat drop alongside her head. "Don't worry, Choji, the cannon isn't that bad," she told him with a sad smile and placed her hand on his shoulder. He looked up at her with a pale look. "How is that going to help me?" Choji asked her. Alucard laughed, leaning his head back as everyone could see his fangs. "Grandpa, stop scaring my friends," Naruto scolded. She puffed out her cheeks in a pout as she looked at him. Amusement appeared in his eyes. "Well, my dear, they make it so much fun, and I had been asleep for a very long time and I have gotten a little bored. But I'm sure there will be something soon to spark my interest once more," he said with a devilish grin. Inside Naruto's mindscape, "I am glad he wasn't around when I was last out," thought Kumara as he laid his head back down to return to his nap once more. 1 month later, Naruto rolled on the ground as she was dodging a sword swipe from Integra. "Good, you're getting better at evading my attack. But you still have much to learn," she told her granddaughter. "Thank you, grandmother," said Naruto as she grinned as she resealed her katana. "I'm glad to have this time with you. Grandpa just likes to have me scare everyone. But my stealth skills are even better, the Anbu Commander Dragon," she said with a grin. "It is fine, Naruto. I am just glad to pass some of my skill down to you. Alucard is much more skilled than I am as a swordsman. But he favors his guns over all else. said Integra as she put her sword back in its case and turned away. It is time for you to meet your team, she said. Hi, bye, I'll see you tonight, Grandma, yelled Naruto as she ran out the door. Time has flown by since Naruto had awakened Alucard and the other. She was placed on Team 10 with the new generation of the Ino Shikacho. Kakashi has also been placed to help with training. But, at times he would have side missions and not always be there to help Asuma with all their students. But, Alucard was always more than glad to aid in their training. He enjoyed that Shikamaru was able to control shadows and has shown him and his father some new tricks with their shadow control and abilities. Alucard has also began training Naruto with her own set of Desert Eagle's 9 MMS. She had taken to them like a fish to water. This had also helped improve her aim with her throwing weapons. With Guy's help, each kid had picked up a new style of taijutsu and have grown by leaps and bounds. It was a sunny afternoon. Team 10 was taking a break from their training to have a nice quiet lunch. Naruto sat under a tree. She had a large scroll in front of her, an ink brush and ink pot. She had one of her diaries laying next to her. Slowly she worked on a new seal style for explosive tags and was making her own version of the forbidden scroll. To her left was Ino eating and talking away about something. To her right was Shikamaru laying with his head on her lap, and to his right was Choji enjoying his lunch and listening to what everyone was saying. But mostly was listening to Ino. Come on, Naruto, when are you going to go shopping with me? Asked Ino. Huh? As Naruto looked up at her friend and teammate. She softly smiled. I do need new ninja gear. We could go shopping at Weston's, suggested Naruto as she saw Ino's face light up. Since she heard the horror stories from Asuma-sensei and Kakashi-sensei, Ino had buckled down even more. Also, I didn't help that Alucard had the girl mind walk him. Even her father was horrified and proud of how she handled that mind walk. Why don't we all go? Asked Ino. The boys need new gear as well, and maybe we could get a team look, she said, eyeing everyone. Sure, it would be fun, said Choji. This shocked everyone. Troublesome, said Shikamaru as he sighed and looked at the large scroll Naruto was transferring her own person seals to. So, you're going to be a seals master like Jiraiya-sama? He asked with his eyebrow raised. Naruto just nodded her head. She didn't tell them was she wanted to be able to make sure if anything ever happened to her seals she would be able to take care of it and not place everyone in danger. She couldn't risk it, for who knew how long it would take Jiraiya to get to the village. It might be delayed by time he showed. They heard some yelling and screaming near their training field. They all jumped up, Naruto leaving her scroll with a shadow clone to look after it. They ran to the noise. A group of civilians had weapons in hand. Give us the demon bitch. She should be allowed to live. They heard the people scream. Naruto for a second took a step back in fear. She had thought things would change once she was a ninja. But it looked like she was wrong. From behind the teens they heard a strong and cold voice. Who the hell do you think you are? She is a ninja of this pathetic and worthless village. They turned around to see Sir Integra standing there with her arms crossed. Another of those demons that protects the demon bitch, shouted a fat man from the civilian council. Integra pushed past Naruto and walked up to the civilians. Ha, I am not a demon. That would be Alucard. I am a vampire, she told them in her calm royal tone. A man threw a kunai at Integra, hitting her left shoulder. We don't care. Just die like that demon over there, he shouted. Before anyone knew what happened they saw a headless body fall to the cold dirt road. The man's head was held in Integra's gloved hand. Her blue eyes flashed crimson as you could see the bloodlust in them. They snapped out of their shock and began to attack. No one saw what happened next, as Integra attacked and killed everyone and was now feeding on the blood of the fat civilian councilman. A shadow began to grow around the bodies and red eyes began to open and mouth open up, eating all the bodies, and all the blood was gone. Out of the shadows came Alucard. He grinned looking at Integra as she cleaned her face with handkerchiefs. Where were you, Alucard? Asked Integra as she looked at her annoying husband. I was around. I had something to do, said Alucard with a grin. Ino had turned green from what she saw and Choji had passed out from all the blood. Asuma had come running from Team 8's training field with Karinia and her team behind them. What the hell? Was Asuma could get out as he saw all the bodies vanish. Alucard looked over at the breaded man. Nothing, just taking out the trash, he said like if he was just talking about the weather. Karinia had ran over to the bushes and was throwing up. Kiba had fainted and Hinata looked paler and Shino just looked away. That fat bastard was pissed at me. We have taken a lot of power away from the civilian council as well. We found they had been stealing money from the Shinobi Fund and Naruto's money from her parents," said Integra. "So, they came after her for their own mess?" asked Ino as she was next to Naruto as Shikamaru was holding the girl in his arms. He had pulled her to him to shield her from those fools. "Troublesome," said Shikamaru. Just then Kakashi and 3 Anbu appeared. "We got word there was going to be an attack on Naruto," said Kakashi as he looked around. He was a little puzzled at the sight before him. Team 8 looked like they had their first kill along with the members of 10 Team. "Is there something I'm missing?" asked Kakashi. Alucard grinned. "My lovely Integra took care of the trash and I just throw it out," he told Kakashi. That is when they saw the kunai sticking out of Integra's left shoulder. She looked down and sighed as she pulled it out. "Just lovely. I will have to see Weston for a new suit," said Integra with a small sigh. Alucard was amused that the ever-so-calm Integra had allowed her bloodlust to get the best of her. With a heavy sigh Integra looked at Alucard. "This mess needs to be reported to Sarutobi and as well as the remaining council," she said as she pulled the kunai out of her left shoulder. "Very well," said Alucard as he looked the others. "Get Naruto's scroll and we shall go." Ino nodded her head and ran back to the shadow clone and they both returned moments later. The clone sealed everything away and Ino placed the scroll in Naruto's pouch. The small group walked to the center of the village to the Hokage Tower office. Sarutobi was looking at a few files before him. The case against the civilian council was just growing even more. Sadly for just the couple trustful members, the civilian council was going to prison for the remainder of their lives. There was a knock at the door that pulled the old man from his trying work. "Enter," he said as he placed the files down. Team 8 and 10 walked in. The old man raised his eyebrow when he spotted his Anbu along with Kakashi. "So, what's going on here?" asked the aged Hokage. "Integra ate more than half of the civilian council," said Alucard with amusement in his voice. The old man paled and looked at the woman with shock. "They came after Naruto and tried to kill her. As well, they broke your law. So, I defended myself from their attack and ended them," said Sir Integra as she looked at the aged leader. Slowly Sarutobi nodded his head. "This isn't good. I will need to get Naruto out of the village for a while," he thought as he cleared his throat. "Very well. But I will give both teams here a mission to get away from the backlash that will follow this," he said as he looked at all the teens. His eyes softened when he looked at Naruto. The girl looked scared and held onto Shikamaru for dear life. "Very well," said Alucard. "I have a request here for a protection mission to the Land of Waves. The bridge builder is under attack and he has come here for help," said the Hokage as he pulled the scroll from his pile. Asuma walked up and took the scroll and looked it over. "This mission is high C rank to low B rank. Are you sure they can handle this?" he asked. Sarutobi looked at his son as he took his pipe. "Yes, that is why I am teaming both 8 and 10 together. As well I am sure Alucard will be tagging along. For I know he doesn't care for all the paperwork and all Integra and I will he dealing with," he said with a smile. "You are correct. But I know there is more to this mission," said Alucard as he raised his eyebrow. Just then a man walked into the office. He was wearing a gray tunic and shorts with a pointy hat with a towel around his neck and the famous sake bottle in his hand. Said man looked everyone over in the office. His eyes stopped on Alucard. You could see him sweat and slowly fall to his knees from Alucard's stare. "I lied. Gato wants me deaf for building this bridge to save my home from him. He has killed our lord and it falls to me to finish our plan," cried the man. Alucard just smirked. How the hell did he do that?" was all Ino could say. The aged leader looked at the man. "You lied to us?" he asked. "Yes, it was all the money I had left from buying the remaining building supplies for the bridge and I know Gato would have some of his men waiting for me after I left here." "You're my own hope," he cried. "Tazuna-san, you know your lying could have us cancel the mission altogether, right?" asked the Hokage. Slowly the now named Tazuna nodded his head. He felt doomed. He wasn't sure if he would make it home this final time. "I'll pay the rest," said Alucard. This had all eyes on him. Even Integra was shocked. But when she got a good look in his eyes, she got her answer. He is growing bored in this time of peace and just dealing with these fools isn't doing it anymore for him. Thought Integra. Tazuna looked at the tall, slender, scary man. Tears now tolling down his cheeks. Thank you. May Kami bless you, he cried. I wouldn't thank Kami, for I am the spawn of Satan, said Alucard as a dark aura surrounded his body. The room had grown cold and everyone took as many steps away from the man. Are you sure of this, Alucard? Asked Sarutobi. Yes, but for me to pay the rest. The teams will stay the same and I will go along, for I do long for a good hunt, said Alucard as he grinned. They all agreed and left the office. They are to meet in 2 hours at the main gate. Weston shop. Hey Weston, called Naruto. Coming from the back, Weston saw both Team 8 and 10. So, what can I do for you all? He asked. We need new gear and stock up on supplies. Also, are the special bullets done? Asked Naruto as she walked up to the counter. Yeah, I just finished them and 1010 was just finishing testing them, said Weston as his daughter ran into the shop. Dad, they are insane and will work well with whatever Naruto needs them for, said 1010 as she saw the others. Hey guys. Ino's eyes grow as she saw all the clothing and things she found that would work for her teammates. Linking her arms with Shikamaru and Choji, she dragged off the boys. Naruto followed behind. She had never seen Ino in her element and was a little curious. Not even Team 10 was left out on this fashion makeover. 1 hour later and you saw all 17 standing at the counter with their new looks and equipment. Ino, Hinata, and Naruto had on just above the knee battle skirts in black with skin-tight shorts in their respected colors. Ino's royal purple, Hinata's royal blue, and Naruto's burnt orange. They had one black battle kimono tips with mesh armor matching their shorts and black knee-high boots with black dusters on and black gloves with metal studs in the knuckles. The boys had on black Anbu pants with black Anbu tops with black fingerless gloves with studs on the knuckles with black dusters and black boots. Shino had a mask on like Kakashi's covering the lower half of his face when his duster was open. Ino liked the idea of sunglasses and got everyone glasses in their favorite colors. But, Shino didn't change his, for he liked his from his clan. Each got new kunai pouches and equipment pouches and a first aid pouch. Naruto got seal equipment she needed. All in all, Weston was happy. For each team bought 5 outfits of what they had on and he quickly added their clan crest to them all. 2-hour mark. All 7 teams walked up to the gates. There stood Alucard talking to Asuma and Kurenai talking with Tazuna. They stopped when the kids got there. Our mission: protect Tazuna and his workers. Also a side mission will be handled with Alucard and whoever he picks to go and pick off Gato and his men, said Asuma as he turned and walked out the gates. They had traveled to the land of Wave without trouble. For a mask figure had been tracking the group and had pulled the demon brothers back. For the feeling they had gotten from Alucard left them feeling like they had seen their very own death. This isn't good, whatever that man is. The mask figure's thoughts stopped as they felt something vile tracking them. Alucard grinned as he walked next to Naruto. What's up, Grandpa? Asked Naruto as she looked at him with her big blue eyes. Our prey awaits, said Alucard. Just how he said it and grinned made a cold chill go down their backs. Back home, I don't see the point of me and Uchiha doing all these chores, growled out Sasuke. Sakura stopped from painting the house of some old guy and looked over at her crush. Sasuke-kun is right, sensei. Why are we not on better mission? Asked the pinkette. Sai kept quiet and continued painting the fence. He didn't mind it whatsoever. Itachi looked over at his brother. His right eye slowly began to twitch. What makes you believe we are better than others in this village? He asked his little brother. Sasuke looked at his older brother and saw the normally calm young man look like he was going to blow up. That is what father always said. We Uchihas are the strongest clan and better than all others. He tried to defend his whining. My mother said that your clan is the best out of this whole village, said Sakura with her fangirl hearts in her eyes. Why in hell did I allow my mother into talking me into this? Why, I could have Kakashi babysit my bratty spoiled little brother. Itachi thought to himself. We are not better than the other clans. If you don't remember, half of our clan is gone and I have to remind you of your place and knock that stuck out of your ass, I will be more than happy to, said Itachi with a weird and creepy smile. Sensei, don't talk to Sasuke-kun that way, yelled Sakura as she was glaring at the head of the Uchiha clan. Itachi turned his cold, lifeless coal-color eyes onto her. I am the eldest and clan head. I will talk to my disrespectful and delusional little brother any damn way I please. I don't give a damn your mother is on the civilian council. For she doesn't have any say in shinobi and clan matters. He told her in a cold voice as he leaked out killer intent, making the foolish fangirl fall to her knees shaking. Sasuke quickly picked up his paintbrush and went back to work. Even the owner of the house was working alongside the genin. Just the look in their sensei's eyes scared the man. Itachi just smirked and went back to sitting under a tree watching his students and the owner of the house work. Hideout. Zabuza-sama, said a calm voice from the shadows. What is it, Haku? Growled out Zabuza's gravelly voice. A young masked hunter ninja appeared before Zabuza. I pulled the demon brothers back from attacking the bridge builder after he left Konoha. What do you mean you pulled the demon brothers? Asked Zabuza as he raised a hairless brow. Haku removed his mask and looked at the man before him. They have, this man, traveling with him and 2 ninja teams. I was not worried about the teams, for it appeared to be 7 genin and 2 jonin senseis. They would have been too much trouble for the brothers. But, the man in red has a presence that radiates off of him. I could have sworn I saw my own death when I was around this man. Have you ever seen him in a bingo book? Asked Zabuza as he tried to put a face to this mystery man. Haku shook his head no. Fine, we will attack them as a group or taken then when they're at the bridge. Either way it doesn't matter to me, said Zabuza as he sat back in his throne-like chair. Gato's office. Boss, the men you requested to eliminate Zabuza are here, said a thug-looking Ronin. Gato looked up from his paperwork. Good, good. Those men are cheaper than that damn missing ninja. After they kill him I'll turn his head in for the bounty, said the ugly little troll of a man. Unknown to Gato, Haku had an ice clone hidden in the shadows listening to everything that went on in the office. He didn't trust the man as far as he could throw him. The clone kept quiet and planned to vanish the moment it wouldn't draw unwanted attention to it. Coast between 2 lands. Alucard looked at the ocean. It has been a while since I've been here. Naruto looked up at her grandfather. What was this world like before shinobi? She asked him. Alucard looked down at his granddaughter and smirked. I'll tell you once we get to the old man's place, he told her. Naruto pouted looking at him. It would make the time go faster, she protested. Alucard just chuckled as he looked back to the mist that settled over the water as a shadow slowly broke through it. There before them was a small ferry with a medium-built man at the rear of it. His eyes grew as he saw how many people had come to help the old man. Quickly, quickly before the mist lifts. We only have a small window, said the ferryman. They all boarded the boat and all looked around as they sat. The man guided his boat back into the mist, hiding them within the shadows, away from all eyes. Tazuna sat quietly as he had put his sake away. Kami, please keep us safe, he silently prayed. Kit, yeah? Asked Naruto in her mind. This mission will test you, said Kurama. Naruto was drawn from her conversation with the fox as a hand was placed on her shoulder. Looking over her right shoulder she saw a shadow of a smile on Shikamaru's lips. She softly smiled at him as she looked back into the mist. After 3 hours they had made landfall. Before them was a large bridge. All 7 genin looked up at the massive structure. It was almost complete. Maybe another month give or take and it would be finished. Tazuna looked at his masterpiece with pride and grinned. This is the hope of my country, he told them. The ferryman had long vanished without a word. He wandered away from the large group of people. Back in Konoha, Team 7 was making their way to the Hokage Tower to turn in their reports and receive their pay. As they approached the tower they saw several civilian council people all stand and angry talking among themselves. That monster should have never been allowed to live, said some man with purple hair. That demon had those things kill our friends, yelled another person. Mom, said Sakura with surprise in her banshee voice. A woman turned and looked at the girl. Sakura, what are you doing here? Asked her mother. I was going to ask you the same. But we just finished a mission and was going to take another or go and train, said Sakura to her mother. The woman looked at the others in her daughter's team and a dark smirk crept across her lips as she looked at Itachi Uchiha. Itachi-sama, we could use your help, said Mrs. Haruno. Itachi raised an eyebrow to this. What are you going on about? He asked as he looked past the woman to the other members of the civilian council. Before she could speak, Itachi's mother came walking up to the tower. "Ah, Itachi, I am glad you're here. An emergency meeting has been called," she told him. "Mother, I see," said Itachi as he opened the door for his mother. "Follow me and don't listen to that banshee," said Itachi's mother as his students looked at the woman with wide eyes. Itachi followed after her with Sasuke and Sai in tow and Sakura looking at her mother and to Sasuke's mother. "What happened? Hurry, go with them. We need a spy in there," said Sakura's mother as the girl ran after her teammates. But before she could follow them in, an Anbu appeared before the girl. "I'm sorry, you're not allowed in," said the dog-face Anbu. But, my teammates are in there," said Sakura with a shocked tone in her voice. "They may be, but they come from clans," said Inu. Sakura looked shocked as she stepped away from the masked man. She returned to her mother. The woman looked at her daughter with rage. "Worthless. What is the point of being a shinobi if you can't get into the meetings?" she told her daughter. Needless to say, Sakura was shocked. Inside the council chambers, all clan heads sat on their side wondering what was happening. Itachi walked into the room seconded by his mother, only to be followed by his brother and teammate as the pink cat was stopped at the door. Sai walked over and stood by Danzo as he looked at the others with an emotionless stare. Sarutobi saw this and wrote something down. He would need to look into this some other time. "Sarutobi, what did you call us all here for, and why are the civilian council members not in here?" demanded Danzo as he looked at his former friend. "It is Hokage-sama to you," growled out Sir Integra, as her crystal blue eyes turned crimson. This made the mummy to move back a little in his seat. "The reason the civilian council members are not allowed in here is the fact that half of the members along with several others went to Training Ground 10, said Sarutobi as he looked around the room. Sasuke perked up when he heard this. Good, they are punishing that little bitch, he thought to himself. Why would they go to a private genin training ground? Inochi as he looked worried. For that was his daughter's team's training ground. They blamed Naruto for all the changes that have been happening as of late. For Mai and the others returned for stopping them for hurting my granddaughter and stopping them from meddling in shinobi affairs, said Sir Integra. That is where Sarutobi chose to speak. As of this afternoon, the civilian council members acted against our village and attacked a shinobi under my command. But before they could act or further cause trouble, Sir Integra intervened and stopped the attack. For they had planned to attack the Jonin senseis and other students and blame it on Naruto or one of her family members to try and cover their tracks. He told them. This had the fathers of the other 3 members on edge. Where are those bastards? Demanded Inochi as his 2 other teammates stood behind him with anger in their eyes. Dead, said Sir Integra as her cold crystal blue eyes turned to the 3 men. Like I was saying, they attacked Sir Integra and she killed them all. Her bloodlust took over and ended those fools' loves, and Alucard cleaned up the mess. To protect Team 10 and 8, I sent them off on a mission to the Land of Waves away from those remaining fools, said Sarutobi with the tire expression on his face. Those got to the parents of Team 8. My daughter was there during the attack? Asked Hisashi as he looked angered by this. Sume stood up from her chair. They dare lay a finger on my child. I will go to war against those fools. They are nothing in this village, she growled out. The 2 elders looked at each other as stayed quiet, for they knew of this attack and told them to eliminate all witnesses. Sarah appeared behind the 2 fools. Master, they are the ones from the memories Master shared with me before he left, she told everyone. Slowly the 2 turned to the dirty blonde woman. One could see the fear in their eyes. You are right, police girl. I remember seeing them in those fools' memories as I drank their blood. They have been behind many shady dealing alongside that mummy next to you, said Sir Integra. All eyes landed on the 3 sitting behind the 3rd Hokage. What proof do you have these claims? Demanded Danzo as he stood up from his chair. Sarah placed her hand on his shoulder, pushing him down. My master told me to drink your blood, draw out your memories and have the blonde over their mind walk me to see everything you old fools have done, she told him with a toothy grin. I could do what Alucard enjoys doing and draw out the truth from their own lips, said Sir Integra as her eyes flashed crimson again. Out of nowhere Ibiki appeared, followed behind Anko. Lord Hokage, we received a message to take away spies? Asked Ibiki as he looked to the elders and mummy. Yes, take them away and make sure no root members try blending into the ranks, For the next few days all Anbu will not be wearing their masks in headquarters, only outside of the building and on missions," said the aged Hokage. With a nod, Ibiki and his people took the three and vanished. All looked shocked at their leader and the two blonde women. Land of Waves. The group slowly walked along the path heading towards a small town. Several miles from the town they passed a small lake as a thick mist slowly rolled in. Alucard grinned as he stopped to look over to the surface of the lake. There stood a tall man with a large blade strapped to his back. He had bandages covering the lower half of his face. Black, gray camo print pants and armguards. Next to him stood two men with claw gauntlets on their arm and a masked individual. "So, you four have finally come out to play?" asked Alucard. This made the others stop dead in their tracks as they looked over to the lake. They saw nothing, but who's to say someone wasn't there? "Hand over the old man," said a gravelly voice from the mist. "No," said a calm Alucard. "It would be for your best interest. For I am Zabuza, the former demon of the bloody mist and master of the silent kill," said the now named Zabuza. But a voice spoke behind the former demon of the bloody mist. "Child, you have a long way to go. For I am the true master of the silent kill. For I am the no-life king Alucard," said Alucard with a devilish grin as Zabuza and his team turned around to see this demon stand behind them. "When did he move? How did he find us?" they thought to themselves. "The Uzumaki devil?" asked Zabuza. He remembered the stories his father told him about an unholy monster that protected the Uzumaki clan and how his father was grateful the beast never showed when they destroyed the clan's island and their people. Alucard grinned. "Yes, but before I was known as the Uzumaki devil, I was the Hellsing demon," he told them. "Grandpa?" asked a confused Naruto as the mist began rolling away to show the 5 people standing on the water. Zabuza's head snapped to the sound of the girl's voice. "Grandpa? Grandpa?" he asked verbally and in his mind. "Why, yes, I am the girl's grandfather. She is the last of the main family and the last of my bloodline," said Alucard as his crimson eyes flashed with pleasure and enjoyment. The demon brother readied themselves to attack the man. But Zabuza placed a hand on their shoulders, stopping them. "We do not stand a chance with him. He is something old and not even his so-called demons can fight him," said Zabuza. This shocked everyone. But out of nowhere a mirror appeared and out stepped a copy of the masked person next to Zabuza. "Zabuza-sama, Gato plans to kill us and collect on your bounty," said the clone. "That bastard," said Zabuza as he turned back to Alucard. "My job has been voided. I will not bother the old man." A flash of disappointment could be seen in Alucard's eyes. He was so hoping for a fight. "Tell me, how many does Gato have protecting him?" he asked. The clone looked at the strangely dressed man. At his home there are 50 outside the walls, 30 inside the house and 3 in his office. He has 5 bandit camps with 500 each. There is a ship coming at the end of the week with another 500 to kill Zabuza and whoever else gets in his way," said the clone. Asuma and Kurenai paled at this. Over a 1,000 men they will need to face. The 17s looked at each other and slowly nodded their heads. "If we take out a bandit camp each night, we should be able to cut down the number within a few days," said Shikamaru as he sighed. "That would work. But I will need you to rest and in 2 days we attack," said Alucard with a crazed grin. "What about the 3 missing nins?" asked Karenia as she looked at the 4. Alucard looked back at them. "They could help us or leave. It doesn't matter to me whatsoever to me," he told them. "I want that bastard of a troll's head at the end of my sword," said Zabuza. "I believe we shall be joining you," said the masked ninja. Tazuna looked on in shock. Never in a million years did he think something like this would ever happen. It was too much for him that he had passed out from the shock. "Great, now we don't know where he lives," said Kiba as he poked the old man with a stick. "We can show you," said the demon brothers as one. "He have been making sure none of that pig's men attack the old man's family. We also been freeing the woman and children that are taken by the bandits for." The masked ninja couldn't finish what he was saying as the water around him froze. The female members of Team 10 and 8 knew what he was saying and grew angry. Alucard was a cold and heartless beast in his days when he was still alive. But not even he did things like that. He will enjoy killing them slowly. That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.